the coffee.
How many of us are willing to admit the morbid curiosity of, well, are they going to make it?
That's what I was getting to, Dan, with the whole motley crew and the rushing to space. This isn't.
But are you watching because of that? Because
no, I'm watching to see if I can say, Jeff Bezos, congratulations, you did it. I mean, this is pretty incredible that people are just privatizing space travel in this country. I was born, 15 years after we landed on the moon, and it seemed like this would be impossible. Although the Jetsons had me believe that it would have been happening in 2002. But I am eagerly anticipating what I hope to be a massive achievement for the wealthy.
Whittingham, why are you laughing back there?
I'm not laughing. I'm concerned for Greg. I got him a cup of tea this morning that is specifically to lubricate the throat before.
He hasn't had any of it. He hasn't sipped it yet.
It hasn't steeped properly.
And he's 20 seconds removed from the inhaler. I mean,
I know it's we're having a rough morning.
Put two more coughs up there. They're not laugh coughs. Yes, this is all. It is a little bit disgusting.
well, we're concerned. We love Greg. I mean, there's
I was talking about the space travel. I was not talking about Greg. I was not talking about Greg.
There's another.
Did you guys watch Richard Branson's flight? Because honestly, it wasn't even that impressive. He goes to the edge of space and then comes back down. Like, he didn't get to walk on the moon. He didn't get to collect space rocks. I was expecting more, to be honest.
Great take.
Entitled, so entitled. I mean, the guy just.
If you're gonna go to space, go to space, Dan. I mean,
Dan, I did that in Orlando. I didn't go skydiving what he did.
I just mean, like, you get up to 40,000 feet in an airplane, and how high was he? Like, a little bit further than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jess, he did
What does that do for me? Nothing.
He did take what seemed to be just an airplane, but this is a proper rocket. It does look like a penis.
Did Greg Norman basically make it to space before either of these guys? Did he tell us that last week?
Branson had Wi-Fi.
I mean, that's more than most flights could do, so I guess I'll give him the Wi-Fi thing. And you can play Monopoly on your phone.
So you're saying that it's not a good enough visual experience if you can't land on a planet and bring back rocks?
I would be much more impressed if he went to, like, one of the rings of Jupiter or something, or Saturn or something, or a moon of Jupiter.
Okay, you're very hard to impress.
Nobody's gone before. That would probably take 40 years of travel.
No, that would be more impressive if he went somewhere.
And then we'll never see them again. It would be great.
Okay, wow.
I mean, well, that possibility is morbidly hanging over today's events.
This is a regression in space travel, though, right? Like, 60 years ago, they made it to the moon. Now they're just hoping to get into space, and we're celebrating it like this is a grand achievement. How about go further than what we've already done, and then we'll celebrate you? This is not a big deal.
No, you're exactly right, Billy. This is something that we achieved in the 60s, and now because a private person and a private company is doing it, we're supposed to be so impressed? I don't think so.
No. We have an international space station where people are living. We have an airport in space. And Jeff Bezos is going to fly in a rocket today, according to space.com, for 11 minutes and fall in the same place where he was before.
They are making Wally Funk climb up all these stairs. She is so winded right now. Whose idea was this?
Are we going to do we have the live play-by-play rights to this? Are we allowed to just give play-by-play to the audience while everyone's saying how unimpressive it is, and now all of the televisions are coming on in here and everyone is fixated? You guys explain to me what's happening around here, because I feel like what just happened is we're just going to watch this happen in real time, and Chris Whittingham's going to do play-by-play, and we don't have to buy the rights from anybody in order to do play-by-play live coverage.
Now, this is a publicly available event. You can treat this as if it were a press conference. So I can do play-by-play if you like.
There is a morbid curiosity. I would liken an 82-year-old woman flying a rocket ship to a Walenda tightroping across the Grand Canyon. You don't know how it's going to go. And by the way, speaking of space travel, we need to reinstate Pluto as a valid planet.
That's a good point.
It's a great point. Yep.
I will say this. I'm slightly concerned about the fact that this is supposed to take off in 35 minutes and they're not yet in their seats. Like, I do more prep time to go on a regular airplane. I get to the airport an hour and a half, 2 hours early sometime before a regular flight. This show, we start doing prep hours before. They're going to go into space, and it's 35 minutes to go, and they haven't even sat in their seats yet. What are they waiting for?
It seems like they're prepping right now. I mean, probably should have done that a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's wearing a cowboy hat?
That
I
would
think
be,
that's the Bizarro Bezos.
no,
Yeah.
that's actually Jeff Bezos. Who,
Oh, God.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus
No, it is because I
Christ.
read it. It's Jay Bezos on his lapel there.
What's his brother's name?
Bezos?
This seems like the classic like Bezos Canseco opportunity, right? Where it's like, you know what, Jeff Bezos is going to go to space, but let's send Bizarro Bezos out there instead and pretend that it was Jeff.
We have our suspicions. This isn't actually Jeff.
Yeah,
Bezos.
are we sure he didn't clone himself? Because this is a risky move for the richest guy in the world.
Is Funk the mother of the Bezoses? Anybody know?
I think so.
Is she?
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Oh, no.
Her last name
No,
is
she's
Funk.
an
Mrs.
astronaut.
Bezos.
Billy, your I think so might represent your greatest anarchy yet. You have no idea.
So?
You just lob that into the conversation as confirmation meant on nothing but destruction.
I mean, I don't know. What are they doing? Is he
Thank
like
you,
tuning
Billy.
his watch?
Really
This
weird.
is so weird.
Yeah.
You get
He's
what?
recharging him.
you
He's
guys-
recharging the
the
clone.
cyborg. You guys get where I'm going at with this group. I mean, he's dressed as a literal space cowboy, and I think the median age of this crew. They just brought the 18-year-old on to weigh it down because they were older than the cast of the film Space Cowboys.
Let's not be ageist towards the 18-year-old, okay?
Oh, man.
Young people can do things too.
I was not expecting that much white hair. I was not expecting
From Anderson Cooper.
I was not ready for we're launching a very old woman into space.
Wally Funk.
Great. Love it.
She's been an astronaut for 6 decades, Dan. She was excluded from NASA's space program because she was a woman.
Cagey
Wow.
vet.
Classic
Trailblazer.
Russ versus Russ scenario going on here, Dan.
Ageism.
Are we going to do this live? Are we going to cover this event live? Because we run the risk of telecasting live horror.
Mm.
And I don't know if we want to be doing that because we're making a lot of jokes on the front end.
Yeah, this is going to age poorly, which is why I'm going to say let's hold on to this podcast for now because they've never done this before. A lot of people are tuning in back of their mind. Wait a second. There's a chance that we could lose the world's richest person.
Bezos is nervous. I mean, they're pacing. The Bezos brothers are very, very nervous.
Should be.
How can you not be nervous, Stugotz?
I don't know.
Bezos'
you
mom
guys-
is pretty chill.
How would they?
You're right.
They wouldn't do this unless he knew it was completely safe. Like he's smart enough, I think, to not risk this.
This is
Right?
a big day for anyone in the Bezos will.
Oh, you can't be
Oh,
serious.
You think he has a will? I was going to
I was
ask
thinking
you.
the same thing.
Definitely rooting for him not
Do
to come
you
back.
think
Yeah.
he has a will is what you just asked?
You never know.
Yeah, if you're the son of Bezos, you are totally in favor of this trip.
We are definitely not releasing this podcast. if
Yeah,
the
Dad, I
slightest
think you
thing
should do
goes
it.
Wrong.
Do it, Dad.
Yeah, Jeff really needs to make it or we're not going to be able to put this out. And then we have to work more today. So he better make it.
Yeah.
This is the crew saying that this is not impressive. I might have to work 34 minutes more today. This is the crew. It's I can't work 34 more minutes talking.
I mean, Greg might not be able to, given the sounds coming from his body.
This was a record number of coughs and laugh coughs counted here. Is everything okay? Are you well now?
Yeah, we apologize. Just having a rough morning. You know, that's the thing about my condition is that some days are a walk in the park and others are sort of a
You got to ease into it.
rough morning. Yeah. And I skipped for various reasons, I skipped all my medication yesterday. And that hurt me because my cat I had to take my cat to the emergency animal hospital. I came back, I was pedaling extra fast to write a column, and I just forgot to take my meds. And
How's the cat?
the cat is had a urinary blockage, which in a cat
Oh.
can be fatal if you don't treat it right away. So $4,000 later, the cat remains in the animal hospital and may need surgery to alter his to really turn him into a female cat in a way, because that's the way the surgery was described to me, because they have less of a chance to have a urinary blockage.
I don't think that's how that works. But isn't 4,000 right around the number that was kind of the deciding factor for O'Reilly?
Well, yeah. I mean, the knee surgery on Riley, I didn't expect to be talking about this, except that, not that I'm complaining, but by the end of this week, I'll have spent more than $10,000 on my 2 animals to save one of them. But
Wow.
You are complaining. It's why you
You are
brought up the
complaining,
figures.
Yeah.
well, I just pet owners out there can they can
Owners.
sympathize.
Pet insurance, Greg. Next time, got to get pet insurance.
I never even considered pet insurance. I didn't know it was a
Cheap.
thing.
Cheaper to hang a ball on another tree, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Pet insurance. Wow.
It's one of those things you laugh at the time it's presented to you, and then you wish you
Yeah.
had it. Yeah.
That's a scam though, Greg. We've looked into this. Yeah, like depending on the plan that you get, they're like, if your animal has vomited in the last year, they don't qualify. And it's like, well, every animal has vomited in the last year 6,000 times because they're constantly eating things they're not supposed
They're
to.
animals.
Okay, but regular insurance companies do that to people too. You have to obviously fight for things to get covered. It's insurance all is kind of a scam, but it does help because with you, like Greg's saying, when you have a pet, like suddenly one trip to the vet is $4,000 and they'll cover at least part of it.
Yep. I'm going to look into that, honestly.
Did you
It's a
say
little
your,
late
Insurance
now.
salesman.
did you say
Yeah,
your
right now.
cat is undergoing a sex change operation?
That's
Yeah.
the way they call it. I don't know why. He described it as something called PU surgery. And it changes the anatomy of the cat in a way that makes a urinary blockage much less likely to happen. That's the way it was described to me,
So yes, a sex change.
in a manner of speaking.
Right.
So, keep
You do what you
Ollie
gotta
in
do,
your
right,
thoughts.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I want
It's a
to.
gender neutral name.
Thank you. We planned it that way.
I need to, not just I want to. I need to go back a second if the space coverage is something that we're going to sink into today, and marvel at Jessica's saying not just that she's just not in any way impressed, but that on top of that, and I want you to marvel at this statement, that Bezos wouldn't be doing this unless he knew it was 100% safe. This thing could explode at any time.
It's
like,
not going to explode.
like you don't know.
No,
You
it
what do
could.
you mean? You don't know your car's not going to explode. How are Jessica and Stugotz now? You guys are space experts. Like
Bezos has it covered, Dan. I mean, the guy's got all the resources in the world. There's no way he's jeopardizing his life. Zero chance.
okay, but I'm
That's
guessing.
all I'm saying.
I'm guessing
Yes.
people thought that with the Challenger. No, like I mean,
Yeah,
what are
of
you guys
course.
Oh,
talking
Dan,
about?
not today.
But
Not
Jeff
today.
Bezos has more money than NASA probably ever was given. And like the Challenger disaster, listen to a whole podcast about this. There were a number of things that went wrong with that. I feel like Jeff Bezos probably threw all of the money he has to make sure he's not going to die on this plane.
So you
I
guys don't
know.
think we're watching right now? Many of us are watching right now specifically because it's not safe.
No, we're watching a man go a little bit higher than we have in an airplane. I mean, that's what we're
Mhm.
doing. Yeah.
Dan, he wouldn't be wearing that cowboy hat if he thought that's the last thing he was ever going to wear.
Yeah, we really got to keep this one in the can just in case.
Oh, he's going to be fine.
It's totally not usable.
I
Like
think
this,
it's better if
this will never air.
No. We'll put it out 5 years from now if something happens.
this is going to go in the Sister Jean interview file.
Well, yeah.
Stugotz is going to sell it to TMZ. You watch.
I want it.
I love that in the middle of this time
How'd you
capsule
know
that
I
we'll
was thinking?
release 5 years from now will be Marlins 1, Nationals 18 chat.
If you're going to score 10, score him early.
I think we need to. I do think we need to have this be one of the viral things about our show that, with no context, people are horrified all over America because look at this show, laughing at this horror because people are going to be suffering a great tragedy. But somehow, for some reason, they begin talking about SeaWorld. They're talking about a vacation, a sad vacation in SeaWorld, and they're talking about whether Paul Castronovo is a survivor.
When Jeff Bezos was not.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Man.
But it'll be really funny if if something horrible doesn't happen. If we can actually air this and it doesn't end in scandal and Meadowlark Media sinking bankrupt. Oh, less funny all of a sudden it got, huh?
Yeah, I don't like that idea.
I don't like that.
Telling you, it's a clone.
I want to litter this if it is indeed a time capsule with several pop culture references, just so 5 years from now, because I've already referenced Delta variant. And maybe I should say something about Bridgerton.
I don't think I'd want a window seat on this ride. I'm gonna be honest
Yeah.
with you.
What is this 18-year-old doing, by the way? There's an 18
TikTok.
there's an 18-year-old on there. It's just all downhill from here. Where do you go from here if you're 18? You got
He's doing a TikTok like, tell me you're in space without telling me you're in space.
I think you do this for the window seat, though. Don't
I mean,
you?
they all got window seats,
Right.
and they all got very comfy recliners, including this 18-year-old that's made a terrible decision in life because there's nothing to life after this. At 18 years old, here's what I was doing. I was giving my computer AIDS by downloading porn on LimeWire. I had my whole life ahead of me.
I feel like if you're going down on a plane or a spaceship, you do want a window seat. I know it sounds terrible in the moment, but either way, you're going down. So why not have a window seat?
No.
Stugotz would totally be on this plane sitting in the aisle, and Wally would be like, hey, I gotta sit there. I'm the pilot. And he'd be like, knee surgery, sorry.
No, he'd be like, oh shit, I forgot I have a lacrosse tournament. I gotta go.
I got to bail.
Well, I was reading an article about how the kid ended up on the rocket. So apparently his father was runner-up in the auction. There was an auction seat on this, and his father gave the kid the seat. And an article I was reading on Yahoo said that the winner said that he was double booked for July 20th. And so he bought this ticket not knowing that he had another commitment and somehow couldn't back out of the commitment to go into space.
How is the commitment? What could the commitment
how important is another commitment?
How do we get that person on our show just to ask that person?
What are you doing?
I
Fantasy
just
draft.
want to know what was the other commitment. There's no question I have today bigger to answer than that one. What could the commitment have possibly been? It has to be something hugely emotional, like a trip to SeaWorld with the family, like something something that it has to be something hugely sentimental. This guy is husband of the year if this is family related.
So there's one qualified astronaut on this flight then. 2 Bezos and 1 son of an auction winner.
That's right.
If it
This
doesn't
is
go well, though,
Never gonna air.
if it doesn't go well, he's not dad of the year, though,
It's
right?
totally safe. That's correct, Stugotz. Stugotz and Jessica said so. No worries here. It's totally safe.
Hear me out on this. Would Jeff Bezos
No,
dying
no.
today be good for Jeff Bezos?
This feels insensitive if they make it.
So his stock will go up probably.
That's
No
his
socks are
lane,
growing
though.
up right now.
I love that is Chris. Like, I love you as a as a one-dimensional actor.
Yeah,
good
you don't
typecast.
vacillate at all. Like you just stick to the book. You did allude to something that was very morbid, but there's got to be some third cousin out there watching this, scrutinizing, wondering what's the deal with the will? Did I make it? I've only met Uncle Jeff 3 times. How much would I miss him?
Will you guys put on the poll, but don't do it yet?
Right. Great point.
No,
Hey,
no.
play.
Yes, put on the
Not
poll,
yet.
but
Not
don't
yet.
do it
Yes.
yet. Would Bezos dying be good for Amazon? For Amazon, not for Bezos, because that's more careful. You would be insensitive. I'm trying to walk it back on behalf of the company. And oh, we're in so much trouble if this ever gets out and something bad happens here.
Can we put this on the poll, but not now as well? Okay. Is the third cousin, if they're on the will, are they rooting for Uncle Jeff to return?
The third cousin.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, how far does that will go? If you are to Jeff Bezos, what Christopher is to Ray Romano, are you still getting a piece? That's what I wonder.
Mm.
If you're getting a piece of rocket in your inner thigh, when the thing explodes, that's
There you
what's
go.
going to happen. Now we've gone too far.
How do I get rid of my Meadowlark stock before this episode airs? Dump it all, sell it, get the fuck out. Market.
I think we should do play-by-play on this.
I do too.
But we run the risk of doing, if we do that, if we do play-by-play, we run the risk of, if something terrible happens, having worked for an hour and a half that we really enjoyed, that nobody can ever hear.
Mhm.
Happens sometimes.
I was satisfied. You want to give me 20 minutes on Tua?
I love how you have us rolling the dice today. Like this is a big risk for us.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't think Chris Cody's name's going to be in the headlines this go around.
No.
I feel like if the richest man in the world perishes in an explosion, what we said today probably won't be that important, right?
Other than the headline, Batard show mocks Bezos catastrophe.
Well, before it happened.
No, I'll kick the coverage. We'll do a whole write-up on it.
Right.
Playing the
Yeah.
result.
Yeah.
I think Billy's right. We're overestimating how important we are. If something tragic did happen, what we said today would be like 13th result on Google.
But what a way for us to go out.
I would love just like an immediate flash forward to like the Cryon and Wolf Blitzer, Darren Lopez, insensitive.
Wait a minute. That was not Wolf Blitzer.
No, it was more Tom Brokaw.
It really was.
Darren Lopez.
That was very, it was very
Project news today out of Miami, Florida, where Darren Lopez was insensitive to the person's
it was very
family.
jowly. Very
We
jowly.
take a moment to mourn the loss of Wally Funk.
Should there be wings on this thing? Like, I don't see anything that's going to kind of be navigating this in any direction, right? Am I wrong? I mean, I've never built an airplane or a rocket ship before, but I feel like they should have wings of some kind.
Well, a parachute.
At one point, Lopetard's producer dismissively called Wally Funk Aunt May from the Spider-Man movie.
Another producer who's vacationing in SeaWorld wondered whether Bezos' death would be good for Jeff Bezos.
If we were to release this episode in real time, like right now, would we be taking a bigger risk or would Jeff Bezos be taking a bigger risk?
We're the true pioneers here.
Right.
We're the ones putting our lives on the line.
That's right.
You guys got to check out Wally Funk's official website, wallyfly.com.
Right.
Oh, man.
We need to get Wally Funk on if she makes it.
Yeah.
I think we're the only ones going after her.
We got,
Maybe
we gotta
a
get
Is this website made on Netscape?
Oh, wow.
It's like the old Space Jam. It's like the old
Yeah.
Space Jam website.
GeoCities.
Angel Fire.
Hey, we got Ronan Farrow.
No, that's true.
We'll be blackballed by him if this episode ever comes out 5 years from now. What do we do for the next 17
Let's just
minutes?
I don't
let's
know,
do
man.
Big
That's-
Suey about this
yeah.
too. Let's do Big Suey and let's go. Let's double down.
Seriously, though, I do get asked a lot about Tua, and I don't know what to tell people.
What about him?
I don't know if I'm supposed to have phase. Here's what I say. I say he throws the nicest sideline pattern in the NFL. That's all I got for him.
Do you care that Chris Sims is putting him in like the 30s of his rankings or very low, and that Chris Sims is already out, as I think most people should be, on the idea that he's ever going to be Justin Herbert? Like, I feel like that one's been called already. No offensive line,
Well,
No,
that Herbert wins.
not
I mean,
enough wide receivers, that in terms of what the ceiling can be for either one of them can't reach the ceiling of the other.
Did we see enough? I mean, he didn't have a training camp. I know Herbert had the same, was dealing with the same stuff, but did we really see enough to make, to form that opinion? Tua could be good. He could be great.
I'm not saying
Yes.
I'm not saying he can't be good. That's not what I was saying. I was saying that he can't be Justin Herbert good.
We don't know that yet. This is the year of reckoning for Tua. It wasn't last year. And the problem is he has good receivers, Tua does. He doesn't have a good offensive line or a good running back. That's the bigger issue for Tua. Not his own skill, but what surrounds him.
Have you ever thought, though, as a Dolphin homer, have you ever thought that a quarterback was going to be a bust? Because I feel like you've said John Beck and Cleo Lemon. Like, I feel that every time you're filled with hope that this
But
quarterback.
this one's different, though,
And
Dan.
no, but I'm not saying this is John Beck or Cleo Lemon. This is more of an indictment of Cody than it is of the quarterback. I'm just saying I feel like under any circumstance, Cody is going to think that the original move the Dolphins are making is the good move because at his heart, he's a fan before he's a journalist.
Well, that isn't true. Particularly at the quarterback position. The Dolphins haven't had a great season out of a quarterback since the 1 year of Chad Pennington. And I was never a Tannehill supporter in particular. I thought that the Dolphins spent even though he's done very well with Tennessee, I thought the Dolphins were spinning wheels with Tannehill about 3 years too long. With Tua, I actually think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to surprise all the skeptics this season.
What evidence do you have to back that claim?
I have the evidence of what he showed in college. I have the evidence of some of the better parts of his game last year. He's healthy now in a way that he wasn't last year. He knows the offense and the playbook now in a way that he didn't last year. And I just think this is a huge proving season for Tua. I could be wrong, but that's my strong sense.
He did have, his rookie season, Dan, with no training camp, didn't know the playbook. He did have 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't Justin Herbert, but it wasn't terrible. It's pretty good for a rookie.
And he won games. I think his record starting was 8-3 or something. That's not bad.
That's not the measurement. Put that on the board there. Ryan Fitzpatrick just got done saying that he's walking into the best situation of his career. Ryan Fitzpatrick is telling you that the Washington situation is better than the situation he was just in. Not surprisingly, Stugotz's Jets made him want to quit football. He says it's unhappiest he's ever been. This was on Pablo's show, but that the last 4 years have been a joy. And he's saying that the Washington situation is a better situation than this one. And Washington, I think, is one of the, let me think about this for a second. Is Washington one of the few teams that has fewer playoff victories than the Dolphins in the last 25 years? There are only a few. There aren't very many in the last quarter century that have fewer playoff wins than the Dolphins.
Yeah, the football team made the playoffs last year, came closest out of all the teams that played the Buccaneers to beating them. They did so with their backup quarterback. So he's right. He's played a very long time, and he's walked into a lot of bad situations. He's walking into a playoff team. I think that's the first time that's ever happened for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's the first time he's had expectations. See what he does with them.
He's also saying that based on his own situation, he's in a great situation now because he's been handed the starting job. And in Miami, he was always going to be the caretaker while you waited for Tua to develop. So Ryan Fitzpatrick has had an awful career in terms of teams he's been stuck with. And now he's going, like Mike said, now he's going to a team that has just made the playoffs. So that, and he's been given the starting job, which is dubious. If you're the Washington football team, you don't want a 38-year-old guy to be your starter, but they don't have anybody better.
Washington's won 2 playoff games this century. I believe the Dolphins have only won 1, so Washington might have more.
If I said in the history of this show, has it ever gone more abruptly from doing good content to doing awful content? Would this be put in the time capsule and shot into space and returned in 5 years from now? And we'd be like, this is unbelievable how they so deftly went from talking about interesting things to talking about Tua. That is if the whole rocket ship that we've built has fallen from space and hit the earth.
It's just a backup plan.
Yeah, I'm just making this as interesting to me 5 years from now. Can you imagine referring to the football team from Washington as Washington football team, saying names like Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua? This is going to be a hoot.
Give me the list of some of the names that you got yesterday that delighted you as you went home. You went home beaming. You were radiant because people were just peppering you with fun and great names from the 2000s. Greg Cody was not here in football. We were saying that our favorite space in sports talking is 90s baseball. It's the thing that brings us together during a difficult time. We just love talking about 90s baseball players. They make us laugh. They're a bunch of funny names. And Mike is trying to nominate, as part of the pantheon here of content building, great football names from 2000 as a comparable game.
Kimo von Oelhoffen.
Nice. I like it. Sounds like a skier.
Really does.
That was a great one.
A Norwegian
It was
skier.
a great one, but
Yes.
also great because you went and got it inside your cheeks, which you inflated with wind, and they're under that ridiculous mustache. You said that in the middle in a way that was perfect.
James Joseph Sorgi Jr.
Oh, Jim Sorg. Jim Sorgi.
Yes.
Sorgi?
Sorgi.
Jim Kleinsaucer.
Oh, that's a great one.
Ligadoo Nane. That's a good one. Brandon Manumana-Yula.
As Zahir Hakim.
Oh, that's great.
Chris Fumatuma Afala.
Yes.
Dexter Coakley.
Is Lusaka Polite wandering around here somewhere?
Oh, yes, he is. So is Muhammad Massaquoi.
Oh, wow.
Was there
Lucian Muhammad.
Was there a Tuiasosopo roaming around in 2000s? The son of a Tuiasosopo?
Yeah, Marcus Tuiasosopo. Yeah.
This is a vulnerable game because you don't want to get silence.
Well, you also don't want to fumble over a Brendan Manumana, but Visante Shenko. I saw his penis once.
Yeah, we all did. We all
saw his
did.
penis.
No, we all did.
Oh, it's a big penis.
Yes. Yes.
He is a monster hammer.
Yes.
That dude. Look, Visante. Let me tell you something. You, sir, you've got a crank on you.
He was nude in the locker room, and everyone saw it, and it was sort of, I don't know, was this at the start of things going viral?
Yeah. Can you imagine listening to this 5 years from now? Corel Buckhalter.
Was that around the time that Chris Cooley's penis ended up on the
That was
internet?
much later.
He did that to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Visante was a victim of circumstance.
That's right. That's why.
Was he a victim?
Yes, he was. Well, he
He was
was.
just in his locker room
He
having
was
a
a
good
survivor.
time. Billy Volek.
Oh, wow.
Adewale Ogunleye.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
And
Great one.
an actual Nigerian prince.
Adam Archuleta.
Archuleta.
Maweldi Moore.
Amani Toomer.
Maweldi Moore is a good one.
That is a good one.
It really is.
Was it something that made you feel shame about your Machine Muhammad?
Me? No. Chris is very, I guess, nervous that he'll say something and there will be silence, but I'm perfectly okay with the silence.
Stalker McDougal.
That's
Fantastic.
How about
Maybe the
this one?
best
How
one.
about Jacob Tammy.
Stalker.
Bubby Rister.
It's
Yeah, it's a little early. Yeah.
Stalker McDougal makes me, because of the funny, cartoony, bubbly name, it makes me think of a totally different game. I don't think this is 90s baseball. I think it's 80s baseball, and I present to you Miramar's own Odeby McDowell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
that
good.
is fantastic.
MacArthur High School.
Rangers, center fielding. Weird.
Jericho Cotchery.
See, I got the old guys. I roped in the old
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
They're like, well, you guys are talking 2000 football and 90s baseball, but if you give me 80s baseball,
Oh, my God.
look at all the information. They've never been
Ron
so
Gardenhire.
informed. Look at how informed they were. Greg Cody's in MacArthur High School.
I mean, Odeby. Come on, everybody knows Odeby MCD. Come on. Kidding me?
Is the game over?
Which one?
Steve Breston.
Dre Bly.
Lavernius Colds.
That's a good one.
That was two.
That was a good zig when we were zagging. I thought it was three. It was three coughs there, and now a shake of the asthma inhaler. What you did there, Roy, which was a good comedic change of pace there, is this quick insertion of a very short two-syllable name, because Dre Bly is magical. We weren't playing that game. That's a totally different game.
Thank you. You gotta get in quick. Boom, like that.
Dre Bly made us all smile. Why did that happen? What
Just one of
happened?
those
The
names,
efficiency.
man.
It
Yeah.
was really the efficiency of it for me.
This rocket looks like a penis.
It's also super dirty. Like
I think it's a good sign, Jess. I think you want your rocket to look like a penis.
It
What?
looks like
What do you mean?
it actually reminds me a lot of Asante Shanko.
I was going to say Vishante Shanko's penis looks like a rocket is
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
I mean, like, we're not even pretending. Like, you couldn't even, like, pretend it wasn't supposed to be a penis. Look at this thing.
No, it's got
This
the
is like the Austin Powers, like, radar thing where they do the whole joke with, like, Johnson.
Yeah.
It looks like a giant two balls. And we're doing that, but in real life.
It's super phallic. It is. It's cartoonishly phallic. It is sitcom and satire phallic. And again, I remind you, the world is burning and flooding, and these billionaires are sending their phallic symbols into space. If that's not while not paying taxes, if that's not
Why can't the floods put out the fires? Just saying, if we're doing both at the same time.
Here goes climate change denier again.
That's not what it is. I'm just saying, if we're both burning and flooding, let's, counteract
They're in
each
different parts of the world, Billy.
other. Oh.
Quentin Jammer.
Oh, that's a
That was a great name for a corner too.
Perfect
Jamie at the
name.
line.
Yeah.
Ty Streets.
Oh, look at now. Now Roy's pushing his luck
Yeah.
with these quick names. He found his move. He's looking for he wants to be the one trick pony of quick names. I think that's a good spot for you. Really tight windows.
And I'm looking at Lions rosters right now. So There you go. The Lions. That's a good team to look at.
Mike Tolbert.
Dave Steeb.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's a good one.
Old
That's a
head
good one.
boy. Wait a minute. That's not Dave Stevens 80s baseball. That's a different game.
I brought it back.
Is Dave Steve 90s baseball?
I think Steve is. I think he's 80s. I think Steve won a Cy Young. Is that possible?
Omar Moreno, Mickey Rivers. I'm going to do something here to trigger. I'm going to Oscar Gamble. Am I going to trigger some? I'm trying
I
to
think
get
Gamble is 70s,
I'm
man.
trying to get Cody's attention here.
Mickey Rivers.
I could do that whole Braves team, that whole America's team. Gary Matthews, such a bad baseball team, but it was the only cable that you got. It was the only baseball. It was the only sports you could get on television if you lived in a region that was national at the advent of. Good God, that's old.
Dorsey Levens.
Oh, that's
Joe Klopfenstein.
oh boy.
Was it all downhill after Kimo von Oelhoffen?
It really was. It really was. That was the best one. You came with your strong stuff first.
Terry Pendleton.
MVP.
You guys are playing different games.
Dick Trickle.
Okay,
mad at
that's
you.
a completely different
I'm
game.
just saying.
Go walk to the beach. Get out of here.
I can't. I got asthma. Sorry.
No, I think he was just talking about the rocket launch.
Oi!
Really?
Being very generous with that.
You think this hour is ever going to air? I
Probably
really
not.
hope. I hope it does. No, because if it doesn't, obviously, this is not a. If tragedy falls, this is not good for us if we post it.
No, it can't be posted.
It's bad publicity, Chris. You understand? I know you hit one note on this one, but
No, but
this
it
would
can't-
Be,
it
this
can't
would be
be-
an example of bad publicity.
Not so sure.
I'm not so sure either.
Hmm.
We can't predict the future. You know,
Exactly. It's like a
We're-
pregame show.
we're talking in real time. The rocket ship's about to go off. The 82-year-old Funk is
Right.
under control. It's fantastic.
Bad prediction if it goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. When does it launch, by the way?
I am
T minus 11 minutes.
Wow, that's exciting.
I am willing to predict with 100% certainty that this is going to be a big fat mission accomplished, and everyone's going to land safely. If you are listening to this right now, let me tell you something. They made it. Congratulations. You did it.
Wow. What if they have
When are
four?
they supposed to land?
What if they only have 3 parachutes on board? Who gets left out? How do you
I don't
decide
think that parachutes come into play in this scenario, Greg.
They do. So the schedule route is 11 minutes in the air, then parachutes to land where they are right now.
Yeah.
But not individual parachutes.
I think individual parachutes.
No.
The
they're
Bezos
not
brother.
jumping out of the plane.
Is the answer to my dad's question.
No.
If there
You
are
think they're
three-
You think they're jumping out of this thing and landing with parachutes?
That's why they brought Wally Funk on. Because if there are 3 parachutes, everybody knows it's
Show
understood.
Bruce Willis it
Yeah. What?
in
He's
Armageddon.
right.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Oh.
right.
When
Yeah.
he like at
Mhm.
the very end goes down with Ben Affleck and he's like switches with him.
Yeah.
That's what she'll do.
It's a powerful love story.
We've got 2 more
Billy-
coughs for the board, please. 2 more. They're not laugh coughs. They're regular coughs.
Billy, I saw you in the chat. You said that the rocket looked really dirty, and I agreed. But now, on closer inspection, it appears to just be a pattern on the side of the rocket. So my confidence waned a little, and now it's kind of back. Like they have a cool pattern thing going on.
Is it cool? That little, what is that?
Okay, maybe it's not
What
cool.
is
I
that?
don't know how you're
It's
supposed
like
to
a
paint
feather or
rocket,
something.
But like, how would you design the rocket?
Put like cool flames on the bottom, right?
Well, that's going to
Guy
happen
Fieri
naturally.
rocket?
Yeah.
Boy,
A bit redundant. That's another cough. Put it on the board.
Sorry. I'd put a Greg Cody Show podcast decal
We
on the
know.
rocket.
There you go.
Right on the window, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It
Like
had
dust.
been an hour and 20 minutes that we were talking about stuff and not mentioning his podcast. Look how pleased Roy is with his Mike Doss. Mike punched him. They were so happy. I've never seen them so happy.
All right.
together.
New game. 2-syllable football players. Let's go.
yeah.
Ty Law.
Speaking of the eye doctor, Roy, you really need to go with how close you
I
have to
have
hold your
gone.
phone
Yes, I've
to your,
gone.
your face.
I apparently have cataracts in both of my eyes.
Oh, all
So,
right.
Wow. You're young for cataracts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I am.
I believe that's where we started in these 2 hours that will never air once this space rocket
circle.
explodes. I believe we started right there with Roy's hostility toward the entire group about the eye chart.
Red Grange.
Hey.
That's too old.
Amos
But-
Otis.
But
Galloping
it's also
Ghost.
it's
Amos
also
Otis.
two syllables then.
Amos Otis is a funny name, but it's a different game,
And it's
Stugotz.
not
That's
two
80s.
syllables.
You don't know how to
We're doing
count.
two syllables.
We're doing two. He's just doing short names and doesn't know what syllables are. Amos Otis is a good name, Stugotz.
I know. What are the syllable things you're talking about?
Trent Green.
That's cool.
That works.
Is that two?
Probably the longest two-syllable name.
10 letters.
Is this hard, or are we just really bad at it? Are we just simply bad at two-syllable names?
Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
It's hard because some short names like Jim Kelly are actually like 2 syllables.
The
So you
law
have to think
firm.
about it.
Kim Eng.
It is a good one. It is a good one, and it's the rare one. You're going to have a hard time with this. 2 syllables, and the last one doesn't have a consonant in it.
Ooh, that win.
Oh. Matt Burke.
It's also consonant, and it wouldn't have a vowel.
Vowel.
Vowel, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's a
So
fine.
dat win, incredible off the top of my dome to
Good
play
job,
all the
man. That's a good
games. You're
job.
welcome. That's never gonna happen again.
Ray Rice.
Too soon.
He does have a vowel in it. Oh,
I don't know how you spell win.
I think it's
Nguyen.
WIN.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, there's a U in there.
And an E.
Ah, but there's a U.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Ray Guy.
Good one. That's a good one.
Lee May.
I love how Stugotz pulls away from the
Mayday.
He was so happy. He pulled away. He thought that he was going to get a roaring ovation, and we just all stared at him.
Chantrell Henderson.
Fred Smoot.
Oh, Smooty.
That's a good one.
That's a great one. Lockdown corner.
Amply.
Oh, another good one.
The best one yet.
Dion Kane. Oh wait, that's 2. Fuck. Mark it.
Two what?
Ooh.
I got one. Wait, no, it's 2. I can't do this.
She's lost her confidence.
I was gonna say Mike Golick.
She's lost her confidence.
Mike Golick.
It's T-minus 5 minutes here, guys.
What do you think they're saying inside there right now?
Holy shit, why are we doing this?
Probably, yeah.
They have to be afraid, even though, as Jessica said, it's totally safe. There's no reason to be nervous at all.
Pat
Josh
White.
Dobbs.
Oh, damn it.
Oh.
Josh Dobbs is good, but he's also been in the league for 2 years. This is not. We are not doing 80s, 90s, 2000s, or even 10s anymore.
He's also an astrophysicist, Dan. He should be going to space.
Didn't he date Mason Rudolph's ex-girlfriend or something like that?
Yes, they were both dating,
It's
both
like a love triangle
both
situation.
backup quarterbacks for the Steelers. You would know this story, Jessica. Jessica, you don't know this story as a Steeler fan?
I don't want to talk about Steelers soap opera drama today. I'm having a good mental health day.
That had to be awkward. All of that. Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph dating the same woman while sharing a huddle, sharing a locker room, and sharing not a lot politically.
There's a.
How could it not be?
How do you know so much about Josh Dobbs' political leanings?
Weird.
I think that's an assumption on your part. Either way, any hoodles, a TikToker actually exposed Ben Roethlisberger, who had an interesting pre-snap motion that would determine whether or not it was a pass or a run. Did you see this, Dan?
I did not.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's tipping the Steeler plays. Do you know this story, Jessica?
No, tell us, Mike.
All right, so it's at Theo Ash NFL on TikTok. And Roethlisberger has a very basic yet very clear pre-snap tell, which gives away whether the next play will be a run or a pass. It comes in a shotgun formation, which is the majority of what the Steelers use. And here it is. When it's a run, Ben Roethlisberger stands flat-footed before the snap. When it's a pass, he lifts his left heel off the ground before the snap. He does this all the time.
It can't be. It can't. How many was that, Greg?
That was one.
That was one big one.
It was an
though.
elongated cough. It should count for 1.5.
That it can't be. That it cannot be that all of these people spend this many hours studying this much film to get any kind of advantage, and nobody on the Steelers is noticing our quarterback is tipping all of the plays by lifting his left heel. That's a pass play. It cannot be that simple. These guys are in their computers all week. They're working 20 hours a week.
They
They
would
got
tell
these
Ben to
long
stop.
coaching staffs of people.
Well, the Dolphins didn't notice Tannehill tipping his plays either.
I don't think that was Tannehill. I think it was the coaching staff. The snap count for an entire season was go for a pass and go for a run. And you can hear clear as day watching at home, and it was 100% of the time that everyone just knew the Dolphin snap cadence. And they didn't make any effort to fix it over the course of the season. And naturally, Mike Sherman the next season was coaching high school football.
So you guys believe this story? There feels like proof around this
Yeah.
Steelers story that Ben Roethlisberger, who couldn't throw the football last year, like I don't know if you saw Drew Brees here. He was asked by Tirico whether or not he would ever consider coming back, and he's like, "My arm feels right now worse than it ever has. I couldn't do anything. I could give you like a drive, but because I haven't been doing all of the throws and stuff, my arm feels terrible." Ben Roethlisberger looked like exactly how every quarterback before Tom Brady used to age. He looked like Mike, you saw that game against the Steelers. They were game planning in a way that was he wouldn't throw the ball down the field. It was all these really quick passes, and all he would do was try and throw these 6-yard passes all season. And they started off the season well, and then everyone realized, oh no, their quarterback is totally noodle arm.
He had 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, which is good, but you're right in terms of yardage, and he played 15 games. He only threw for 3,600 yards or 3,800 yards, so which is low for him.
Steelers also had a drop ball epidemic last year. Like he didn't have any help. I'm not defending Ben Roethlisberger, but last year he came back from this whole complete elbow reconstruction and probably shouldn't have even really been playing. But he did, to Stugotz's point, he put up a decent amount of numbers, but the Steelers didn't have a balanced offense. They were playing with James Conner, who was kind of banged up all year. Benny Snell was their backup. And they also lost 4 players on defense to torn ACLs midway through the season around the time that their winning streak ended. So there's a lot more to the Steelers season than just Ben Roethlisberger not being able to throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield, although that was a problem.
No, that's a problem. That's what I'm saying. Like, Dan knows the 33-10 is good, but Roethlisberger 2 seasons ago had over 5,000 yards passing. This year he was under 4.
This is rare for me, okay, because that sport eludes me a little bit when I'm watching it. I'm like, is what I'm seeing real? I have a hard time with all of the schemes and all of the coaching and everything else. Oh, we're T-minus
T-minus
here.
10,
We're
yeah.
T-minus. We're blasting off
6,
right now.
Big.
5,
4,
3, 2, 1.
Ignition.
All right. So far, so good.
There are those flames, Billy.
A lot of flames.
We have liftoff.
We have liftoff.
It is a penis.
How are we capturing this video? Is this a blimp?
It's a drone.
Yeah, this looks.
It's blimps.
So far, so good.
This is looking good.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be able to publish his local hour, everybody.
Excellent.
Okay, this is well, it needs to land. Everyone needs to get back safe. That's going to be a half hour from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to Whittingham, they still need to jump out of the space plane
With their
launch
parachutes. Yeah.
and float back down.
That
to
cannot
Earth.
be the plan.
That is absolutely
no,
not the
that's
plan.
not the
What do you mean it is
You
the
make that
plan?
up, or-
No, there's got to be a splash landing.
Splash.
Speaking of which, rarely do my eyes tell me what you guys are telling me is the truth, which is those statistics are a lie. That season, that team started the season undefeated. Nobody believed that the undefeated was for real. She's saying they got injured on defense. They did. Their defense looked great. But when you watch their offense play, it wasn't the space age stuff everyone else is doing. Let's make it quick passes. Let's turn the quick passes into the modern day handoff because we can do it. It's all Pittsburgh could do. And it's all Pittsburgh could do, I thought, Jess, because their quarterback has aged that way, and his arm is that noodled. It was not the guy that I was used to throwing the ball all over the field. Now he says he's come back in Tom Brady shape. He's done all the Tom Brady diet things. We've made fun of him for years for being a skyscraper with legs, and he never took care of himself, and it had to come back to haunt him, right? We had the conversation. Was it Trevor Price who said, somebody said, hitting Ben Roethlisberger is like hitting glass. You just sink into Tom Brady. It's like hitting water, because Ben Roethlisberger's tissues aren't.
He used to be. I'm sure there are people right now that don't remember what Ben Roethlisberger used to be, which would be impossible to sack. He'd be impossible to bring.
One
down
guy was
before.
not sacking him.
It
No.
was the most frustrating experience for the Browns.
That's why their game plan last year was for him to get rid of the ball in less than 2 seconds, which was, I think, the fastest in the league, because he was afraid of taking a hit with that surgically repaired elbow. And I also want to add, like, the offensive line for the Steelers, which for the most part is completely different this season. They did not play very well last year, and so the run game suffered, and Ben Roethlisberger was just pitching the ball out as fast as he could to receivers who could not catch it and could not keep up with, for whatever reason. I don't know why there were so many drop balls last year, and then he couldn't throw it downfield. So, like you said, like, their offensive game plan was extremely limited for a number of reasons, and I also think their offensive game plan for the last few years hasn't been very creative. They play like very old school football. They're not doing the things that Eric Bieniemy is doing in Kansas City. So it's kind of upsetting as a fan to see like all these new exciting creative offenses, and then the Steelers are just doing the same thing over and over because they're limited to what they have with Ben. But I do think that's why I'm a little bit excited that they drafted Najee Harris, because he's a playmaker and he's fast and dynamic, and he should probably get the ball 20 times per game. But yeah, Ben's old. Like
Ben's old, and that
old.
offensive line somehow got worse from last year. I know Pouncey retired. Do
I
you
don't
think
think
it's
it
just
got worse.
because a total changeover, like you can't get much worse, because they're going to test that theory?
I mean, Villanueva was not good last year either, and DeCastro he's done. I think he might retire. He needs to get a season-ending surgery already this season, so they released him. I don't think they can get worse. I don't know how much better they'll be, but it doesn't. Keeping the same thing they had last year, I don't think they got, like, the Steelers got a ton of criticism for kind of letting go of that all-star offensive line from 5 years ago, but they had not been playing that well in the last couple of years, and they drafted decently well, so I don't know.
If we are able to air any of this, I believe that you right now are at the center of some true possible innovation for what your sports coverage is going to sound like 20 years from now that Peyton Manning and Eli Manning are going to give you a second screen experience. Peyton didn't want to do Monday Night Football proper. It's 10 games. I want to be the second game. I want to invite celebrities in. Me and my brother are just going to screw around, and you're going to have to pay to see it. 3-year contract.
Such a good idea.
But we're doing it right now. We are weaving effortlessly between interesting content and NFL football. That isn't interesting content. The Steelers, we just broke down the Steelers more in 5 minutes than we have across the last decade. And Mike and Jessica argued about whether the Steeler offensive line is good while a billionaire flies his penis into space. Did a parachute open?
There seems to be a parachute. This, I don't know. I'm going to put it in queue and listen for a little bit to make sure that we're not just talking over a tragic situation, if you would excuse me for just one moment.
Couldn't they have strapped a camera onto this thing? I mean, we're looking at it from Earth still. What does space look like?
TikToking this, right, Billy?
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, there we go.
I believe that what's happened there is the vessel that they have to break free from now falls to the earth, and the rest of it is still climbing.
Am
I wrong?
Descending. The altitude is going down.
So is it over?
No.
There seems to be excited voices on the ship.
It's the booster that's coming down, Billy. It's not the rocket that's coming down. It's the booster. The booster's altitude is falling in that parachute, and Mike thought it was a tragedy because we are not expert space coverers.
Great camera work, by the way.
It's BS that Jeff Bezos decided to fly with this 82-year-old woman who is, by all means, like, this is a historic flight for her. This is a huge deal. Everyone's rooting for her. He's one of the most unlikable people in the world, and now he's tying his fate to this person. And you can't root for them to fail regardless because, like, no one wants that. But it is kind of BS, right?
A symbol that the rich white man could buy himself into any portal, no matter how qualified the woman is to be there before him. I mean, of course, that's where we are.
But also, I mean, like, we're rooting for her to do this, right? Whereas, like, if it were Bezos and some other person, it'd be like, cool, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, okay, I legitimately want her to succeed because she's always wanted to go to space and she's been working at this for 6 decades. So that's a cool story, but it's tied to the story of billionaire wants to go to space, which I don't care about.
But it's a heady pick by Bezos.
Yes.
Don't you agree?
It's what Stugotz would do.
It's what I mean. It's BS.
She's excellent cover.
So how do you feel about this? Are you happy or are you not happy?
The booster is now 4,000 feet from Earth. They're going to try to reuse this thing. So the plan is for this thing to land, this booster engine, to land on the ground safely.
Oh, it's landing so softly. Look at this. It's going to land perfectly. It's 70 feet from the ground, and it is torching the ground beneath it, and it's going to land super softly.
That's what Jess and I were saying. I mean, Bezos is risking anything today. He'll land super softly as well.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
The booster touchdown, it says on the screen.
Yep.
The bottom of it appears to be on fire.
They're not using that again.
Who kicks the extra point? The 18-year-old?
It's a little bit off to the right.
I liked it.
It landed exactly where it had to land. It landed like a bullseye.
Yep. So now the capsule is
Like
next.
a bullseye, but not a bullseye.
Capsule is coming down
right,
at about.
Dan, not a bullseye.
It was very close.
No, the
1,000
yellow's the
feet.
bullseye. It was a little like in the red and the blue area.
per
Close only
second.
counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Dan.
That's right.
The capsule is now about 10,000 feet from Earth. It is falling at about 1,000 feet per second. Here, within like the next 15 seconds or so, we should find out as to whether or not Wally Funk made it.
Wait, there's the parachutes, Woody. Do you see them?
There they are.
They
3
look
of
like
them.
little octopus
Very
tentacles.
small.
Nice. Shooting it.
I'm wanting a bigger parachute for sure. So that was it, huh? That's what they spent billions of dollars on. 4 minutes in space.
Barely in space.
I do think that Whittingham can be accused of thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Whittingham, that you had an 82-year-old woman just gliding in on a single parachute.
Yeah, like
no
skydiving. You know why? It's because I was thinking of the Red Bull guy. The Red Bull guy that went up in that capsule. He actually, on a parachute, went back down to the ground. But yeah, I was wrong on that one.
I backed him up several times.
There's not been a lot of space expertise. It's one of the ways the ESPN broadcast with Peyton and Eli will be better than this one. Our space experts did not prove to be in any way space experts. Because again, Whittingham had parachuting from space, an 82-year-old woman in a parachute. With, not in a capsule, just sort of slaloming through the air, swiveling her hips until landing perfectly.
Look how softly this thing is going to land. Like perfect execution, man. Perfect.
All right, so does someone, as this lands 900 feet, the capsule's altitude is about to land. Look at us, just fascinated. Greg Cody is riveted. He said, I believe, to be another historic record like this one of, 12 coughs in the first.
That's being generous, man.
Is it more than that? How many? What is the count so far on coughs here, Chris Cody?
We have regular coughs, 12, laughing coughs, 8.
Wow, 20 coughs. And here it is, 200 feet, Stugotz. It's about to land.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Coming in
very
hot.
exciting.
This was completely pointless. I think I've been on roller coasters that lasted longer than this trip to space.
Nice landing.
All right, less work for us.
Yes.
He took off and landed, and
Excellent.
we're still in the big suey.
Matt Turk.
Okay, I'll go to my phone and it'll be here tomorrow. Like, really? We're gonna do this with Jeff Bezos? Yes. Yes, he's rich. Yes, all those things that you said are true. But also, he's made our lives so much better. He's made our lives during the pandemic so much better. I don't want to be accused of caping up for Jeff Bezos, but open your eyes.
Imagine
You
Dragons.
can do all those things and pay your taxes. You
That
can
is
do
fair.
that. You can invent Amazon. You can invent Amazon Web Services. You can make things that people use and like and spend money on. But, dude, like, read the room. People are suffering.
Jessica, did you watch Fleabag?
Yes.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff Bezos.
It's just call Amazon what it is. A failed bookstore, right? Like they had to pivot and start selling trinkets to get by, and it took off. But Amazon wasn't what it was supposed to be, a bookstore. Let's start selling deodorant. Let's start selling batteries. Let's start selling CDs. It's a failed bookstore.
They're killing the bookstore game, Billy. I subscribe to Audible, which is owned by Amazon. I'm reading so many books right now.
You're reading 0 books.
Also
No,
killing
all
their
of them.
warehouse workers.
There is all of this. It makes everything very complicated. I think, though, Mike has been vindicated on audiobooks being actual reading. Science has ordained, science has revealed to us that the brain is used the same way listening to an audiobook than it is to reading from a book. So science would agree with Mike Ryan, yesterday's argument. Greg Cody, as someone who is a writer, do you believe listening to an audiobook is reading?
It feels like cheating. It is reading, but it's, to me, I'm old school. You have to have the book in your hand for it to be grade A reading. That's the way I feel.
I trust the science of our audience more, and yesterday's poll came back. Does listening to an audiobook count as reading? 54% of the audience said no. I think that's more scientific.
That's close enough to a split. And there's a lot of dumb people in our audience, so I'm going to go with that. And look at this book. I'm holding my book right now. You see it?
That ain't
It's
a
my
book,
iPhone.
Mike.
Yeah, no, it's
That
my
ain't a book.
I
No,
read- yeah.
it's an iPhone.
No, I'll talk to you and read a book by James Saylor at the same time. You won't. You
So,
won't
like,
stop
if
me.
my brain, the same function is used to poop and run, and I run, can I say that I pooped? Because the same part of my brain is used for both?
You could,
Yep.
but they're not, so you can't.
I don't know.
Okay, that's the ultimate argument ender right there. That's my dad's
What do
move.
you do with that?
No,
Right.
I've been dealing with that my entire life. That's the way my dad argues. You give him a set of facts and he ends it with, I don't know about that. And there's nowhere to go.
Yep.
That's the end. That is the end
You
of
got to
the
question the
discussion.
facts. Dan.
He's been
I mean, do
winning.
you guys know what part of the brain is used for everything? I don't. I'll look it up.
Okay, put it on the poll while you're at it. At Lebitard Show, do you use the same part of your brain when running as when pooping? At Lebitard Show, we will let the audience decide on that one. We can't agree on what science is. You guys saw yesterday. This leads me to sports and some Fox stuff that is tied in because Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp were trending yesterday because they started their show killing Space Jam instead of about the NBA Finals, and they did that on purpose because that network does anything for ratings, except it snuck up and bit him in the ass last night when Hannity's out there on Fox, and he is saying, and this is a huge pivot, he is saying that everybody out there take COVID very seriously. Now, he's not even going the next step and saying get vaccinated. He won't do that. He's just take COVID very seriously. It's important now. And it was just so obvious, tied to the Dow falling and the lawyers getting in his ear like, oh, wait a minute. You guys are just doing all of this. You guys are doing all of this with dishonest profit grabbing. And now the lawyers got in your ear and Hannity's going the other way on this when people are dying. And clearly now, I mean, that seemed obvious yesterday. It was such an obvious pivot. You got to take the mask off. And again, still, he's getting applauded for pivoting away from the network, but he is not actually saying get vaccinated. He's saying take COVID seriously. That's what passes for applause when we live in these bubbles now.
He did tell his audience that he believes in vaccination science, alluding to the fact that he himself is vaccinated, and that is some sort of endorsement. But yes, he didn't go out and say, hey, you watching me, 1 in 5 Americans believe there are microchips in this vaccine. That's a bit absurd. Get vaccinated. Otherwise, we're going to shut everything down. And now the capitalists are scared because the Dow tanked because Delta variant is very serious.
I couldn't tell. I honestly, and this is where we are with this stuff, I honestly couldn't tell whether that overt of a pivot that's going to be lost on that audience was because of the money or the lawyers, because it represented such, because now you've
little
got
bit of both. Probably.
you've got some liabilities stuff because they've been irresponsible. Like you used to say what you will about television. I know it's where Flavor Flav's date pooped on the doorsteps is the lowest moment of entertainment, but television used to be some kind of responsible. Like there was the burden of responsibility of not fooling, some of the people all of the time by creating, like, that's just hugely irresponsible, and people have died. And now there's a liability problem that the Murdochs, as much money as the Murdochs got, like, they don't want those problems.
It's always been a bit irresponsible, though, right? Like Brian Williams was lying to people for many, many years.
Yes, but it's not like this, Stugotz. That's a totally different thing. That's a credibility issue, and the reason it was so offensive, Stugotz, and the reason you know about it is because there was a standard there for what the truth was supposed to be. These are totally different spheres.
I can totally understand your point, though, about the lawyers getting involved, because they got involved on the Dominion voting systems thing. All of a sudden, Dominion threw out like $1 trillion lawsuit, and Lou Dobbs is reading a statement on television, doesn't have a show anymore. So the lawyers could absolutely get involved. It's also, the Murdochs occasionally have crises of conscience, where they go, oh, hang on a second, this is getting bad. We need to control our outlets and tell people to get vaccinated. So, like, there's a few things that could be at play there.
Let's bring it through sports, because yesterday there were two things like this. You guys saw Megyn Kelly is going back and forth with Naomi Osaka, and Naomi Osaka blocked her, and Megyn Kelly is now sort of saying, yeah, the mental illness stuff, whatever, but what about all those magazine covers you've done since then? And Naomi is saying, look, those were done before any of this stuff came out. These things take months and months. You should know that as a journalist. And what I'm asking you, because I know this is the silly playpen, but it's been rewarded, right? Skip Bayless. The big move was going to be pairing Stephen A. Smith with Skip Bayless again. After everything that's happened in sports in the country and everything else, let's do argument television like the good old days. White guy against a black guy. You guys just make up the argument, see if we can get some ratings. Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless started their show yesterday ignoring the finals and one of the great finals games, followed by, it's not just one of the great finals games, but you guys got these guys scoring 40 points a game, doing the LeBron stuff.
Yes.
And he's going after LeBron again with Space Jam, and it's so much smaller. It's the playpen, right? It's just a joke, but it's the seed that's fertilized throughout that network. It doesn't matter how you get to the ratings. Just get eyes on this. Doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what's happening in the country, doesn't matter your morality, nothing matters can we get Skip, can you say the things that will get people clucking? Just go after LeBron, even though at this point it's just total overt shtick.
Right, but it gets ratings, doesn't it? Like, it gives them the best chance to get ratings.
Modest.
I understand
they're
it makes
modest
you uncomfortable.
ratings, though. No, but it's just modest. You say, does it get ratings? Nothing's getting ratings these days. All these things are dying. You're talking about a few 100,000 people. It's not very many people. It's not moving any kind of needle. It's just going viral so that Fox can have a couple of personalities that get some attention.
I'm just saying it's Skip's job, Skip in particular on that show, to draw viewers, to draw ratings, and he's desperate, and he's doing whatever he needs to do to get any sort of pop, right? And so he kind of knows what's going to get a pop and what's not. And so when you're that desperate, Dan, and no one's watching your network, you do those kind of things. It's kind of benign in the grand scheme of things, isn't it?
Of course it's benign. Of course, compared to the other stuff I'm talking about, it's silly. But it's been a plague that's been rewarded in sports television and sports journalism in a way that's totally contaminated it after 20 years, where First Take goes from your clearly worst show to the one that you're supporting and going after Skip Bayless on as you try to evolve, because argument television is where it's at. And Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith were journalists. Like, I sound like the fuddy-duddy on this one, right?
You
Yes,
do,
you
because you do have one of the largest sports platforms in America. You often lament people with arguably smaller platforms driving the discussion when the Bucks can win their first NBA championship in like 50 years. And we started with Chris Cody going to SeaWorld. Yeah.
I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite.
You said it.
Yes.
And we also did the Music Dome to start the day after the Super Bowl.
You went an entire show without talking about the Super Bowl.
But that's to mock the idea of just grabbing for ratings.
You don't think that they're mocking when they're starting with Space Jam, or do you feel they felt passionately about this?
So I got fooled?
Yeah. By Skip.
They're playing the game.
They're playing all game.
Damn right.
Better.
I don't know. Well, Skip is. As a singular entity, he is. He doesn't have to share. Certainly not with Shannon, from the reports I've read.
Skip and his wife were at Lil Wayne's house for the 4th of July. Is that weird to anybody else that they're like that close? And that like is Skip Lil Wayne's mentor? Is that a possibility?
I saw Travis Scott with Rob Manfred. I don't know how that was.
Come
Was I
on.
fooled by the internet again? Was this?
I hope so.
Was this something that? Oh, look at this! I surprised everyone in the room. Is this an old photo? Is it a real photo, or is it me being? This is a prime moment where, if you guys haven't heard of, this is what always scares me. When the entire room doesn't know what I'm talking about, it makes me feel like, oh, wait a minute, the internet must have fooled me.
No, I'm looking at an MLB tweet right now from July 19th that says, oh no, from 9 hours ago. Rob Manfred hanging out with Travis Scott, eyeball emoji.
Yeah, it was Travis Scott's Instagram story, a selfie.
Two biggest supporters of the Astros.
They were in the same club? Were they clubbing? I did not have Travis Scott.
This ceiling
You
does
have
look
Rob
like
Manfred
a,
in a club.
It's
Seriously.
red
I was gonna say
light.
Travis Scott's not the weird one here in the club.
There's red light all over the place. There's right. So the photo is real. It was not me being fooled by the internet. Does it look like they're in a club? Yes or no?
They could be in like Mykonos.
That is an odd pairing. We would agree. At Levitard Show, put it on the poll, Guillermo. At Levitard Show. Did you ever imagine that Travis Scott and Rob Manfred would be photographed looking like they were together in the neon of a club?
It does look like the ceiling at Scarlet's.
It does, yeah.
Wow.
It does.
Now that would be a story.
You just
for
need a
me.
robot guy walking behind him.
I know that ceiling.
The joy that
That I've
just
heard
went
is there.
across the face of Chris Cody when the Scarlets got mentioned. He's like, my wheelhouse. He slid right in here. Stugotz got right in next to you. You want to give all the details of Scarlets? That's where Stugotz famously poured gasoline on himself after leaving so his wife wouldn't think that he smelled like the strip club.
That was on the way home. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't do it before I got to the strip club. But that is a key. When you're married and you go to a strip club, what you do is douse yourself in gasoline on the way home.
So bad.
I mean, the Scarlet smells there.
It's so ridiculous. It is so absurd.
Scarlet's is honestly too loud for me. It's like a nightclub in there.
What's this robot you speak of?
Well, I've heard that on like a weekend night, like at one point in the night, they'll just have this like robot. It's like a person walking on like stilts, but they have like a bunch of air guns that they're blowing at everybody, and like people are dancing. So I've heard.
Wait a minute. Please do me I mean, good God. Limited fake Scarlet's robot blowing air. Like, and it's just smoke. It's just
It's
smoke.
just like, yeah, and it shoots it at people, and people love it. They stand up and they're like,
Is
get
it
me
as-
with your
Is
smoke.
it as big as the Jay Glazer Fox robot?
It's skinnier, but just as tall.
Is it naked?
No.
Well, robots
really?
are naked, aren't they?
Nude robot.
It's like a person. I don't know what it is. It's like a person walking on stilts, but it has the look like they're wearing like a robot head.
This is a great question. Put this on the poll, Guillermo. Are robots naked? Because that's not the question Billy was asking. Billy was asking whether or not whether it was a stripping robot, correct? Or were you just asking whether robots wear clothes?
Can you see the nuts and bolts?
You've never seen these robots before? You've gone to a lot of
A
functions.
stripping robot?
I saw him once at like a brew at the zoo. There was one of these robots. It's like you'll see him occasionally at a rich person's quince.
Yeah.
I have never seen one of these robots. I do want to hear, though, from Limited Fake Robot just one more time because it sounds very cool because Jay Glazer's robot doesn't blow smoke, does it?
No. This one's more like,
Big Glazer's the one blowing smoke.
Juju mentioned to Stugotz a compliment, said that Stupidity has been on fire recently. Robin Lopez was on Stupidity. You can check that out now. Did you ask him any questions about the Lopez brothers owning homes or a home in Disney World?
It's all I asked him about. Maybe a question or two about Brooke and what he was going to do if he won an NBA title. He said he's never going to let me hear the end of it, pretty much. And then we got right to Disney World. And I didn't know that, right? I had no idea. Thank you to Chris Cody because he made the episode. He told me right before I left that Robin and Brooke Lopez own a house inside of Disney World, which is fascinating. I told Greg this morning, and he couldn't believe it.
They are some of the few, correct? They're the only athletes I know who I've read that about, that they own. What did he tell you about the home? Well, you could find out on Stupidity, where Stugotz interviews Robin Lopez, and Brooke Lopez might be a champion tonight. Brooke Lopez, I've told this story many times, Stugotz. Brooke Lopez, over many years, was offered to the Miami Heat every year at the trade deadline by somebody. And every year was sort of like an annual running joke of no thank you. And now the Bucks find themselves on the cusp of a title. And I want to ask you guys, Stugotz, you who loves ripping the legacies of people, and if Chris Paul somehow loses tonight, he will be a lesser player in your mind than if they won the next 2 games. But
he
when
could also be a greater player in my mind, Dan, if he goes out
no,
and gives
he
you
can't.
45
no,
points.
He can't.
No, he can't.
No, he can't. He's done that a couple of times already, and you reverted right back. Game 3 next season, if he wins the championship, you're going to do it to him again. But the thing I wanted to ask all of you guys is, before this season started, we would have said, this is a one-man team. Giannis will win the championship only if Giannis is the MVP. And you have seen in this series, and before this series started, Giannis just told you, Middleton's our closer.
Yep.
And you have seen in the last game, the reason they won, a critical Game 5 on the road, the game you got if you want to win that series.
Must win.
You win that on the road, and the ones doing it for you are Jrue Holiday and Middleton, and they become the first 3 teammates ever to score more than 27 points in a game. They shot super efficiently. They needed all of it in order to beat Phoenix. And I ask you this question. What are they going to be legacy regarded as? Are we going to go back and say Giannis won that one by himself the way we did for Kawhi? Because we elevated Pascal Siakam.
Right.
And then a year later, he's done again and being traded and not happy there. We elevated for a moment that guy. Are Jrue Holiday and Middleton now going to be elevated to a place that you're going to think of them as championship players? Or is this one of these one-man championships like the one Kawhi got?
Well, first off, with Giannis, he's averaging, 32 points a game. He's averaging 13 rebounds a game. Like, Giannis is always there, Dan. He's there every single night. Middleton's been up and down. Even Jrue Holiday on the offensive side is up and down. But yes, of course, winning an NBA title is going to elevate Middleton the most. Like, to me, that's the guy that gets elevated the most. It's Giannis's team. He's the one. And if they keep winning championships together, Middleton becomes like Scottie Pippen.
No, come on.
Yes,
Stugotz.
he does. Dan, he's had monster games throughout this run. He really has.
If they win how many championships together?
I mean, I told you a while ago that you better win your championships now because Giannis is coming for all of them. And he's coming for all of them. And Middleton is the number 2 on that team. Why would he not be Scottie Pippen if indeed Giannis wins 5 or 6 titles? I don't know.
Giannis is going to be elevated the most, and this is the most important to Giannis's legacy. After you consider what happened in the previous 2 postseasons when it was Giannis who took all the heat for sort of disappearing, for underachieving, and now he's had a good finals. He's going to be the one who's elevated the most here.
Mike, why are you rolling your eyes
Pippen.
at Stugotz?
Pippen, talking about a 2-time All-Star, a guy that's never had All-NBA honors. He's going to be 30 in a couple of weeks. Like, we know what Chris Middleton is. He is never going to become Scottie Pippen.
Mike, he hasn't played. He's had amazing games here in the postseason.
Don't push back. You can't.
No,
you
no,
said that as a
Mike,
flyby. It was so absurd.
Mike,
No,
I
no,
let
no.
it go.
It's not
Mike,
absurd. Hold
Mike,
on a
I
second.
moved. Hold on. You hold on for a second. I moved on just because I didn't want to get stuck in this particular stupid quicksand. Prisoner of the moment. The guy had 2 good games, and now he's Scottie Pippen, one of the top 50 players of all time. If they win the next 2 games.
That's a big
if they don't win, or if they win one of the next 2 games.
He's a choker.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that again. I don't. I was
just
trying.
says things, and there's no consequence.
But I didn't want.
He's
it's-
averaging 25
Mike,
points
Mike,
per game.
He's a
in the
good
NBA
player.
Finals.
He's not Scottie Pippen.
A complimentary player.
Do you think Scottie Pippen averaged 25 points per game in any one of the NBA Finals?
He's a defensive superstar. He's one of the greatest defensive players we've ever seen. He's made all NBA several times. Chris Middleton has never been that. He's a 2-time All-Star. He's had a really nice career. He's probably a couple years away from retirement. He's a fully formed NBA player. He has been this guy for 5 seasons.
When you look back at this Bucks team, you'll say, okay, what got better? Who improved? Right?
Drew Holiday came over is what.
Drew Holiday
that was
helped.
big.
Right. Drew Holiday absolutely helped. But Chris Middleton taking a next step absolutely has helped this team.
This
Are
is
you
the stuff.
kidding me?
This is the stuff you buy yourself when You get into the third round in the finals. You get this. This is how these things become things, is somebody will rush to your side and say, look at Drew Holiday. He made him a champion. But again, I'll remind you, Pascal Siakam, we were trying to do this with him. And then 2 years later, we're talking about he doesn't like anybody in the locker room, and Orlando. Like, I'm guessing, Stugotz, you could have said from there, you could have started making an argument. If Kawhi Leonard wins the next 6 championships in Toronto, Pascal Siakam will be Scottie Pippen, because you can do that with any second player. But the thing that I want to ask you about Drew Holiday, because what I saw in this last game that I thought was impressive, and there were a lot of things in the last game that I thought were impressive, was Devin Booker 3 different times trying to back into, like a point guard does, because they can handle the ball, Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday being so obviously strong, physically strong, that he wasn't backing up at all, and then he just stole the ball from Devin Booker, and then he made a 3 in his face. Like, that's the stuff. You were here yesterday saying that the reason, Chris Paul, that you're going to be able to identify him as a choker is because of Drew Holiday's defense. But this is how all of these people get in these historic conversations.
By winning.
By
Yes.
being on the television. It's not even by winning, Stugotz, because Chris Paul has been winning, and you haven't been giving him any credit.
He hasn't won a title, Dan.
I know, but if he wins the next 2,
I'll give him credit.
Stugotz, you didn't when he scored 70 in 2 games. You didn't
That's
give him
not
any
winning
credit.
a title, though.
Stugotz, okay, but in
the last 3 games, he's been dreadful. He hasn't been Chris Paul. He's been an all-time great.
It's the last 2 games that he's been dreadful.
And if he's an all-time great, he'll go out on the road tonight, and he will get them back home for Game 7. Devin Booker can handle it from there. But tonight, it has to be Chris Paul on the road, big spot. Give me 40 points, 15
and
assists.
then do it again in Game 7.
No, I said Devin Booker could do it for him in Game 7. He's getting up there in age. That's what I said. Give him a pass. I mean, it's very nice of me.
That's what I love. Thank me. That's what I love about sports, and that's the nature of sports. Everything changes based on 2 results. If Phoenix wins 2 in a row, all of a sudden it's, CP3, legacy is made, and it's Devin Booker, potential superstar, and we're refashioning the whole argument.
Greg, 3 games ago, there was an article on ESPN.com that every team needs a Jay Crowder. He has been dreadful for the last 3 games. I mean, this is what we do. I mean, they were up 2-0.
Right, and likewise, if the Bucks lose 2 in a row, here we go again with Giannis. Another failure in the postseason.
By age 30, he was a 4-time All-NBA player, 2-time All-NBA
Why are you
first
getting
team.
dragged
He was
into this
a
muck?
champion 5 times.
Why are you doing this? Why are you allowing
Because I'm
him
looking
to
at
do
career
this?
highlights and awards, and I'm doing like the reverse engineering on the math, and all the career highlights for Chris Middleton is he was all Big 12 once, and he's a 2-time NBA All-Star.
He's one of the top 50 players ever because he's had a couple of games. And he'll kill him tonight if he goes 10 for 34.
I don't want this because Middleton's gonna have like 30 points tonight, and they're gonna win the championship, and everybody's gonna say Scottie Pippen. He's Scottie Pippen. Stugotz was right.
25 a game in the finals. I mean,
What did Scottie do without Michael? He had that one season he got benched. Couldn't even take the last shot.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
Now he sells bourbon.
What did Chris Middleton do without Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Beat the Heat.
In one playoff game last year?
The
all
one
I need,
game
Dan.
in the gentleman sweep where Chris
One game
Middleton
sample
balled
size.
out.
Yeah.
He did hit a game winner against the Heat this year in game 1 that went to overtime. It was a dagger. It was a series dagger right then and there. It was series over.
You know what?
He owns us.
I think
Thank you.
we should just stop right here. And the end of this segment should be the Batard Show does indeed endorse that Chris Middleton is every bit as good as Scottie Pippen.
Better.
Not before he pays up his fine from that cough in the
Yes,
microphone 2 minutes ago.
$5, Stugotz.
For
You did.
me?
Yes, you did it.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
you did it. Thank
Greg's
you.
had 23 of them. He hasn't paid a
Yes,
cent.
that's right. That's right. White privilege.
Have you seen the officials for tonight's game? Scott Foster.
No.
Eric
Chris
Lopez.
Paul never wins.
No.
Chris Paul.
no.
0 for 12 in his last 12 attempts against
Well, then,
Scott
will he
Foster.
get
Oh,
any
boy.
credit if he wins tonight, goes on the road,
If he beats
scores
Scott Foster?
45 and beats Scott
This
Foster?
is the hurdle.
Will Stugotz have to? What does the standard have to be for us to rope in Stugotz right now on? He will publicly apologize for not need game 7 because he said Devin Booker can have
Apologize
that
for
one.
what?
Publicly apologize. Wait, so you're not going to apologize? You're not even going to give me this, that there's a point total or something that can happen tonight.
I'll give you this. There is a scenario in which I will put him into my top 5 point guards of all time. Okay.
I think you should have a press conference with an apology tomorrow. If Paul hits a game winner. If Chris Paul hits a game winner,
Is the game winner his 44th and 45th point?
that's the standard.
Yes.
Okay, so why can't it just be a game winner? Because he won an elimination game for the championship.
But game winners are different. Is it, a game winner where he has reached 9 points or a game winner where he's at 27 points?
So it's not.
different.
It doesn't have to be just a big moment. It has to be. He has to be thoroughly dominant, best player on the floor all night, and then they have to win on the road for you to consider it.
30 points, north of 10 assists, a game winner, and he beats Scott Foster. I will put him into my
okay.
Then they have to win
okay,
game
that's
7.
the standard.
Okay,
All right, fine.
Right. But Booker can win game 7, Dan, just so we're clear.
So you will apologize. Can I
If
negotiate?
Booker wins game 7, I'll apologize to Chris Paul. Yes.
No, I'm not going to keep. I can't believe, Mike. I'm mad at you now, Mike. You ruined the show. Yeah, because look at how slippery he was. He's not giving us. There's no. I asked you, but you didn't answer. You kept changing.
You said who's going to benefit the most if the Bucks win a title. It's my belief that Chris Middleton will be the one that benefits the most. Greg said Giannis.
That's not the question
Middleton.
I was asking.
I thought it was.
I was not asking you that question. Greg Cody took that there. I was asking you what happens when you take a second and a third guy, and is it going to be Giannis's championship or is it going to be everybody's? Because we gave Toronto's to Kawhi and only to Kawhi.
Right, but when the Bulls finally won,
we gave the Dallas championship to Dirk and only Dirk.
It's going to be Giannis's championship. Greg is right, and it should be. But when the Bulls won, it was Michael's championship. It wasn't the Bulls finally won the championship. It was Michael finally got past the Pistons.
I don't think anyone on Toronto got anything. Like Kyle Lowry's big prize was congratulations. Here's a parade celebrating the fact that you're not one of the worst playoff performers of all time. It was all Kawhi.
Giannis isn't going to get that, right?
I mean, if he has a moment today, I'm sure he's probably the series MVP now.
I mean, he has to be,
Yeah,
right, guys?
32 points.
Stephen A.
Come on.
Smith is arguing on behalf of Middleton, on behalf of Stugotz's beloved Middleton.
They do have a weird dynamic because Scottie wouldn't be closing games with Michael on the floor, but I mean, Giannis is not Michael. It's more Shaq, Kobe. The great Amin Al-Hassan said that once.
I mean, 32 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, over a block a game, over a steal a game.
That's
huge.
huge.
It's incredible what
It's
he's
huge.
doing, and no one really seems to be paying attention.
Yeah, he's, if anything, Giannis is being appreciated in this series because Middleton's having a nice series, because everybody recognizes Jrue Holiday is the difference, the big addition to this team. Giannis is rising up. He is having a great series.
What will Stugotz's reaction be tonight that elicits the larger spit and bile toward the television? Will it be if Chris Paul is playing well, or will it be every time the Deer District is 65,000 strong, 4 times the capacity of what they put the arena? They are increasing the capacity. Stugotz has been yelling about spreaders, and he's been yelling 65,000 people are going to be gathered together outside of that arena. Which will trigger more spit and bile at your television?
Chris Paul choking.
No, I think it's going to be the Deer District because he's going to say doing a game 7 with Chris Paul.
No, I said Devin Booker could do it in a game 7. This is Chris Paul's legacy game right here. It's all on the line right here. Because I believe if Phoenix wins, they will go home and win game 7. I think Devin Booker is so good, and I don't think Milwaukee will bounce back from that. This is the game right here for him. On the road, what did LeBron do with the blueprint on the line? Went on the road in Boston, gave you 40-something points.
That's what you want from Chris Paul tonight?
If he wants to be an all-time great, yes, that's what I want from him.
Jesus. So you want the 45-point game that he gave you
once,
early?
One time.
He gave it to you one
in
time.
In the finals, on the road, must-win game, like LeBron did.
Right. And the winning
LeBron
3
was Eastern Conference Finals.
The winning 3 has to be an off-balance 3, the winning shot.
Shot out his ass.
That's right.
Okay, so that's the standard for an apology tomorrow.
Yeah, go do it.
Totally fair.
The Deer District is probably a super spreader. No.
Thank you.
More
Rob
likely than
Deer.
not. What?
Mm-hmm.
2 syllables.
Oh.
Excellent.
Right.
That was an accident.
Well
That was an
done.
accident.
Yeah.
That was not on
Well
purpose.
done.
Not on purpose.
Total non sequitur.
That's what the greatness of Cody is. He did not mean that, Chris. You're absolutely right. In fact, it doesn't even make any sense. He only went with the super limited joke of, I heard Deer District, let me say Rob Deer.
Correct.
And that's all he had in his arsenal.
That's
and it
right.
happened to be 2 syllables and a funny 80s baseball player name.
Thank you.
former Milwaukee Buck today. But have you seen, look, obviously Delta variant is really bad, especially here in South Florida. Our positivity rate has climbed up over 8%. Now Fox News, or at least, well, some of their hosts, I saw Fox and Friends was like, if you want to die, that is your choice.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That was great. There was a music festival in the Netherlands that had 20,000 attendees, and they thought they were doing everything right. You had to provide a negative test, or you had to have recently recovered from COVID and have proof of that, or you had to be vaccinated. So 20,000 of best case scenario, this should be a place where this virus does not spread, socially distanced to the point they could be, following all sorts of recommendations from their government. And it's now been linked to 1,050 positive cases of COVID-19. So things are bad.
We're going to end up back indoors again, right? We're going to end up, this whole thing is going to again escalate to, no, man, don't tell me that. Don't tell me.
Oh, no, we're headed there, Dan.
I am so afraid if I do end up leaving the country about this test that I have to take to come back into the country. Just because I've had coronavirus and I have the vaccine. If I test positive, the likelihood is I'm asymptomatic. So I'll just be going into this test, not really knowing whether or not I have to stay in Mexico for a few days and not see my child.
I mean, we're having an Olympics. Like, people from around the world are all traveling to Tokyo right now for the Olympics.
Are we having an Olympics, Jess? Because there's
Sort of.
breaking
Starting
news.
on Friday. That everyone's already there.
There's breaking news that there could still be a last-minute cancellation of this. For it being in Tokyo, that place is as likely as any place on the planet to just squash this thing.
There's a no travel to England right now,
They would
right?
have done it.
No, they can't do it. The contracts are such that it's one of the most amazing things. I don't know that you can have a stronger symbol for what sports greed has been during the pandemic than the emperor of the country telling you we can't do this here, and the country not having the power to cancel that contract because the IOC has to get that money, and there's so much money involved. I don't think that you can have a greater example of how irresponsible we have been about all of this, but specifically in the greed and business of sports, that Japan doesn't want to have this, but they're contractually obligated to get that money. And so we're going to get there, even though Japan has a problem on its hands when it comes to hosting this thing. But hey, Deer District tonight, 65,000 people, 4 times the capacity of the stadium, can watch the Milwaukee Bucks win the championship.
I want to put it past Tokyo to shut it down. There's 71 active cases right now. This is not some far-off problem. There's several marquee athletes on the basketball team with names you all recognize. Bradley Beal is out. Zach LaVine may not be a part of this team
JaVale
anymore.
McGee is an Olympian. JaVale McGee is representing.
Wow.
If that's not what the pandemic symbol for all of sports is, ladies and gentlemen, we go to Tokyo and we're sending as our championship hood ornament JaVale McGee.
Rim protector, though, Dan.
It's a lot of lost wages, but I imagine this is also quite insured. Jessica, you know someone quite well that's actually out there covering it right now. I've heard the accommodations. It's kind of like a mental health minefield out there if you want to cover this thing because you're confined to your rooms.
Yeah, basically you're allowed to go for the first 14 days. You're allowed to be in your hotel and then go to wherever you're covering the event from, whether it's like the stadium, the field, the control room, whatever, and then come straight back. And there's like approved places you can go to get like groceries, like convenience store, like a Walgreens type thing, but that's it. Like, you cannot leave. You're getting tested every day for the first few days, and that's if you're vaccinated. So there's no difference if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. Of course, a lot of the Americans are vaccinated, but a lot of the international people are not, don't have as high of a vaccination rate.
Japan did such a great job containing the virus initially. Everyone was looking to Japan and South Korea as leaders on this. But you live here in a country in the United States that totally rocked it with vaccine distribution. And we're in the place that we're in right now because of stupidity and ignorance and people's refusal to just admit that they were wrong. And this is totally politically driven because Japan only has a 22% vaccination rate. It is hard to get the vaccine over there. In Western countries, in London, England, you're in a 6-week queue if you want to get your second shot. And right now, I'm walking through a Publix that has walk-in vaccine distribution and no one waiting in line. and it's mostly by choice at this point.
Richest country in the world, and we keep solving these things the way that we solve them, by throwing money at them. And we led the world in going inside, at least in part, when Rudy Gobert made us all go inside. Sports made us go inside, and we have rushed to all these sports dollars unimpeded here for a while.
It is tricky with the people who are not getting vaccinated, right? Because I'm with, like, for the most part, political reasons, it's stupid. But there are some people who have legitimate concerns about the vaccine. Like, they just don't feel comfortable getting it, right? So it's hard to tell them what they should be doing with their own bodies. I mean, I'd like everyone to get it.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard to tell everybody to get vaccinated, unless there are going to be some that you help everybody by doing that, unless you have some calamitous doctor's ordered symptoms that tell you that it's going to trigger something else. I don't think at this point it's that hard. Hannity is out here. So that's how hard is it going to be? Are you going to go? You're going to go to the other side of Hannity's out here trying to get as close as he can to get vaccinated.
I'm saying everyone should, obviously, and the people who aren't doing it for political reasons, you're wrong and you're an idiot. But there are some people who might have legit reasons for not wanting to get that thing.
But there aren't like legit reasons anymore. Like researchers and scientists and doctors have all told us that the benefits of the vaccine far outweigh the minimal risk that you're going to take by getting it. And to Mike's point, it totally sucks. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who have friends and family who live abroad, who might not be American, and to see people in this country refuse the vaccine when my sister lives abroad and she can't even get one, and we don't know when she'll be able to come home again. Like, it's really hard to see that, and to see people who are desperate for it, and we're just saying no.
Greg Cody wrote a column about this for the Miami Herald today. Greg Cody was telling everybody to get vaccinated.
Well, there's a new report out that mentions accurately that unvaccinated people are putting at risk kids under 12 who can't get the vaccine yet. I mean, that's a factor that these people who are unvaccinated need to consider. And what is your reason for not getting vaccinated? It's, at least in this country, we're lucky, it's convenient, it's free, all the science is there. It's a public health matter that affects us all, not just you who choose not to be vaccinated. So I just don't understand. I think there's a selfishness there. It's what Michael Irvin said in being so disappointed that his former Dallas Cowboys aren't one of the most highly vaccinated teams. It's selfishness. That's all it is. I'm not saying it's stupidity, but there is a selfish aspect.
Well, he also said you're not trying to win enough if you don't get vaccinated.
Cole Beasley took exception to that. There's going to be a percentage of the population, they might have pre-existing conditions, they might be trying to get pregnant, and they're waiting for more data specific to their circumstances. I think that's fine, because that ultimately makes up a very small number of the percentage of people that are just willingly telling you to your face they don't believe it. There's an embarrassing number of people that believe that there are microchips within this vaccine. And more often than not, it falls across party lines. And I don't get it, because Trump should be out there on the road. I mean, he's going to be hosting these rallies anyways, giving away this vaccine and touting it as the single greatest accomplishment of his presidency. He should call it the Trump vaccine. He should make it a patriotic duty, because obviously his base will buy whatever he sells. So I just don't understand why the messaging, because you're afraid that people are going to tune to Newsmax or tune into OAN, that the messaging isn't get vaccinated, have your suspicions, do what you want, but also you may die now. It had to turn on a dime like that because our economy is once again on the precipice of having another shutdown.
How sad did that part of it make you? The specifics of that part of it, that it took the economy dipping, worst day of the year yesterday for the pivot. That it's that overt, that it's that obvious, just, oh, we're going to grab it. The most important thing is ratings. It's not, that's how he got into power. He's
but
the
you're
guy.
going to be bothered now with those guys? They've been doing that forever, haven't they?
I mean, the pivot.
Fox News.
The pivot was last night, though. The pivot
was last night.
Hannity last night on the advice of lawyers, the day after the worst economic day, like the day after, and tucked between. Again, as he's still not saying get the vaccine. He's still saying he just take COVID seriously. It's still not, hey, get the jab. He won't go quite that far, but it's pinned, Stugotz, specifically. It's pinned. The story before it, he criticized a university for mandating, for forcing vaccines. And the story after it was a woman who lost some feeling in her legs because she'd gotten a different vaccine for a month. Come on, Stugotz. Like, how? Yeah, I'm going to get mad about that. Yeah, I'm going to get mad about that now because of everything Mike is saying, that everything that's happening in this country and this world is a byproduct of us always fertilizing this selfishness as we're celebrating rockets going into space with billionaires, and we're the richest country in the world. And the guy who just flew that plane, if that money was that rocket, if that money was poured into not being selfish or even just taxes, like, that would all feel a lot different. Yeah, today is the day I'm getting mad about that, because that overtly they pivoted with lawyers, because of lawyers and because of the economy. And still, he won't just say it. He won't say, don't die, get the vaccine. We're better as a united country. We're the richest country in the world. Everybody can get it over here. They can't everywhere else in the world. They still won't say it, not even with the economy and the public pressure of lawyers. Come on, man. We'll get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day in a second. Roy and Greg Cody were having a conversation in the other room. Roy had a big smile on his face. Greg was laughing, but it seemed like a dark laughter, and he didn't seem as happy. We'll get to the contents of that story in a second. But Aaron Rodgers, Adam Schefter is reporting that Aaron Rodgers has turned down the largest contract in sports, or in that sport, for his position or any position, and he has turned it down. Adam Schefter is reporting. I don't have the details because they're just coming in, but he is not making this about money. He wants out of there, and he's telling you there is no amount of money.
He has 3 years left on his current contract. It was a 2-year extension they offered him to make him the highest paid player in the NFL, and he turned it down.
So he's serious about this. And Adam Schefter, I told you this the other day, he and Chris Collinsworth had a back and forth where they were arguing each side, and Collinsworth was arguing the Packers side, which is then retire. You're under contract. We're not trading you. We're not trading you, which seems dumb to just let his value expire without getting anything for it, when my guess is, what is Aaron Rodgers going to command right now? He's older, but he's the MVP of the league. This guy is not available. Like, when Peyton Manning was available at the end, he wasn't the reigning MVP of the league.
What is dumb is the Packers have arrived in this place in the first place. That's really what's dumb in this entire
But Schefter's
equation.
response to Collinsworth when he was doing the hypothetical, then retire, was to say Aaron Rodgers needs to start slinging mud now. He needs to start making it messier. Does he? Does he have to do James Harden? Does he have to tarnish whatever his feelings or reputation is with those fans, Stugotz? Because he's been very careful about never saying anything bad about them. He's never done anything to tarnish his link to that community. He's feeling like he's being run out. They drafted his replacement, and he's making as much of a mess as he's willing to make in order to tell everybody, I do not want to play there anymore. I'm finished. So now what?
I wonder whose side the fans are on. I really do, because when they offer him what they offered him to make him the highest paid player ever, and he turns that down, I wonder if that changes the opinion of fans who think that the team has really screwed up in alienating Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a close call right now.
I think it does change how the fans are going to view him, because, Dan, that contract takes him till he's 42. It makes him the highest paid player in the NFL. It's the Packers saying, hey, we're sorry. We want you to be our quarterback for the next 5 years. If you're still good at 42, we'll keep you probably. And he still doesn't want to show up. Like, I think the fans are going to start turning on him.
I'm unclear. Is that what you were saying, Greg? Because I thought that what you were saying is, if that's the offer and he's turning it down, it must be really bad, the way that he feels about everything that they've done inside the building. If there's no amount of money in America's most popular, which are you saying, though? Which is the one you're saying?
Well, I think you can have both points of view. The point I was making is, I don't know how Packers fans feel about Aaron Rodgers right now, who they blame in this chasm between the two sides.
I think that the fan is generally entitled. The fan is like Stugotz, and if you leave the fan will be mad, period. Not comma, not anything. Not we loved you for a long time, not thank you for the memories, not you were great and you gave me a great joy across a decade and a half. It will be, you mother, how could you leave?
But it can be both. Greg is right. You asked us the fan reaction to this. I believe him turning this down will have some fans kind of turn against him. Obviously, he's upset with the organization. That goes without saying.
But do you think many fans, what do you think right now? If we polled Packer fans and asked them, how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers? He's going to take my feel good. And if he takes it, bleep him. Isn't that always the fan reaction? With maybe I can't make it that absolute, but you think perspective and compassion is what the emotional fan who is losing the MVP of the league and their beloved football, a city's identity, that they're going to be, oh, Aaron, it's all right.
I think when they drafted Jordan Love and Aaron was upset about it, yeah, I think they kind of sided with Aaron. But now you're saying, hey, 2 years highest paid player in the NFL,
telling you
take you to 42.
No, but he's telling you.
I know what he's telling us. You're asking me, will the fans turn on him? And I believe they will, knowing this.
Will they be right to turn on him? Because
what else does Aaron want the Packers to? He wants them to fire the GM.
He wants respect, Stugotz. This is one of the rare instances.
But Dan, respect 5 years, Stugotz, 42, highest paid player in the league.
He's not making that synonymous with respect like that. This is the one instance you're finding in sports, the business of sports. You're finding the one instance when they say it's about respect, it's always about money, Stugotz. And this time he's telling you, nah, there ain't enough money in the world. You will respect me, and the respect will be real. I'm leaving. You've already disrespected me so much that you can't print enough money to keep me here.
I understand that, but he's also saying it's not about Jordan Love. It has nothing to do with the selection of which is it? Like, okay,
Stugotz, it's about all of it. He's been failed by the organization, and he's done with it.
They made a mistake. You're asking about the fans. They made a mistake, and they're saying, Aaron, we're sorry. Here's 2 more years and the highest paid player in the league.
Stugotz, not everyone measures with money the way you do.
I know, but you're asking me about the fans, and I believe the fans are going to see that and be like, Aaron, what are you doing? What else do you want? They made a mistake. They're trying to make up for it. What else do you want them to do?
To be fair, it's not just the quarterback. It's the refusal to give a team that was at the NFC Championship more offensive weapons for their existing quarterback, and it was also not consulting him on the head coach. They almost went out of their way to say, no, we didn't consult Aaron Rodgers on this hire, and they hired a really young coach who, by last year's elimination game, is showing you he's still kind of learning on the job here.
And that guy took the ball out of the MVP's hands and ended the MVP's season learning on the job. The relationship is broken. There's not
the relationship with McCarthy was broken. Like, I listen, I understand why he's upset. You're asking me if the fans are going to be upset on the heels of this.
There's no break. There is no forgiving it. It would seem like it's over. Is what to me what this says, Stugotz.
Mercedes Lewis says otherwise.
To me, what this says. Am I wrong in reading into this? Oh, he's not coming back there. Like there will be no coming back. Not the first day of the season. Not the
first day of training camp.
Not the first day of anything.
Yeah,
like
probably not.
He would stand to lose $22 million if he decides to sit out. I think he gets fined $50,000. It's somewhere in that neighborhood for every training camp day that he misses. And to be fair, this is I understand turning down what is being touted as the richest contract in that sport's history. It's a headline grabber. It certainly draws your eyes, but you don't know what kind of outs were in that deal. If the team could have gotten out from under it, you don't know how sincere it was. And this is a guy in Aaron Rodgers that has shown that he's willing to mix it up a little bit by leaking stuff out. He took several private meetings with the organization in the days leading up to the NFL draft, and then as draft day came around, when he felt pretty good about what he was talking about in terms of being moved to a team like San Francisco, organization decides against it, and then he starts playing the leaking game. But can he go full like James Harden? Can he come out and say, because you're saying he's saying with his actions, can he come out and say in front of cameras, because he's always played it classy, whether it's at the match or at Tahoe, he's asked that question all the time. I'm sick of hearing him being asked a question, and he's always classy in how he deflects. Will he come out in front of cameras and say, I don't want to be here? Here are a list of the betrayals. It dates back to keeping McCarthy around for several years. And now we blew that NFC Championship game in Seattle. It goes on and on and on. Here is every turn in which this organization.
What would you pay for that press conference? What would you pay?
To hear it.
Anything.
But I think he's too classy to do it. So I think we're going to play the leaking game for a little bit.
But to your point about the Packers being dumb to not trade him, they are. I mean, it would be absurd. Teams would give up so much to get Aaron Rodgers right now. If you're perceived to be one of those teams that's a quarterback away, and the Dolphins would give up so much, I think.
Almost every team is that quarterback away.
You're probably right.
Who benefits from that leak? Is that the Packers escalating things here?
the
it's
Packers
very
benefit,
easy.
yes.
Yeah, it's very easy. The
Yes.
Packers absolutely benefit from saying, "Hey, we offered Aaron Rodgers," which is a read the room guys situation. You're only making that offer so you can look good in public eyes because there's been one message consistently coming out of Aaron Rodgers' camp, and that's I don't want to be here. So you think you're going to turn around and he's all of a sudden go to accept their contract no matter how much money he's worth? It's a principled stand.
But extending 2 years, you're right, Mike. Extending 2 years to your 42, highest paid player in the league. That is a splashy headline that gets fans upset. Hey, you're not going to take that, Aaron?
But how does it actually fix matters right now?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It just makes the Packers
it
look
is
like
so
they're trying.
off the wall. It's like trying to break up with somebody for several weeks and they show up at your house on a knee trying to propose to you immediately afterwards. It's crazy.
I do think, and I'm not positive, I have to check the numbers. If they keep Aaron Rodgers for this season, there is a much less significant amount of money they will save on the cap hit versus next season, where they will get at least like $20 million in cap space back. This season, I think they would just have like a $17 million dead cap. So it does behoove them to keep him in a season at least.
By the way, as we line up all of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers might be pissed off at the Packers, their last number 1 draft pick was a quarterback in 2008 with Jordy Nelson. They've basically gone his entire career without gifting him.
A wide receiver,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, a wide receiver. What did I say?
You said quarterback, but
Yeah, my
this
bad.
leads me
Devontae
into
Adams is pretty
this.
good, though.
This leads me
True, but-
into what it is that leads into the back in my day. Greg Cody is aging in a way that makes him have a little bit of dark humor, and he was saying, I don't want to tell this story for the audience. What is the conversation that I walked in on, Roy, where you had a giant smile on your face?
Yeah, Greg was asking me how I was explaining to Claire that she was going to be a big sister. So I just said, I kept telling Claire, hey, you're going to be a big sister. You're going to be a big sister. You're going to be a big sister. Now, this is juxtaposed to Greg having to explain to his granddaughter that his dog died. So there's loss there as opposed to in addition to our family.
So you were talking about life being joyous with a child as you try to explain that your daughter is about to welcome into the world a big sister, and Greg is trying to explain to his granddaughter what?
That the dog, Riley, who she knew very, very well, suddenly isn't there anymore. What happened to Riley? You hate to even use the word died with a 3-year-old because it's not a concept they grasp. And so the next time she comes to my house, she says, where's Riley? And so it's just at the opposite extreme of life experiences with that particular age group.
But
That's
why were you laughing like that? Why were you laughing?
I was probably laughing at the Roy end of it, where he's trying to explain to Claire about being a big sister when I don't think she can, because of the age group, I don't think she can realize that that's a permanent thing. Wait, somebody's going to visit, a baby's going to visit me? No, she's going to be there forever, you know.
My dad does this thing with my daughter where he always has to talk to her like he's talking to a pet. Like he has to oh, hey, great. Like, it's like, I get it. Sometimes you want to talk that way, but it's like, you can just talk to her normal sometimes.
It's a grandfather thing, though, right? I mean,
I don't talk to a 3.5-year-old the same way I do to my wife. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? That kind of thing.
swig of coffee.
Time now for back in my day. You were so great, you earned that swig of coffee.
Why do you always act like a swig of coffee is like a triumphant
And now
flourish?
it is time to take a trip down memory lane.
Yes, it is.
Here's your guy.
You're proud of
Cody.
yourself.
Yeah, you're right.
With Back
Every
in My
time,
Day.
every time.
That's true. You got that right.
How many cups of coffee have you had today?
15. I'm flying like a kite. Dog food. Yes, I did do one other back in my day on this broad topic a couple of years ago.
Bropic.
But this is different. The situation has grown more grave. Speaking of dying, our collective obsession with extravagantly pampering our pets is now in hyperdrive. So I'm leafing through my Food Network magazine the other night. Great mag, by the way. And right after the piece telling me 50 different ways to do pigs in a blanket, I come across a short article with this headline: Beer and ice cream for the dogs. Of course, it's accompanied by a photo of a dog with a shit-eating grin because our canines are colossally photogenic, give them that. I need to read this verbatim so you know I ain't lying. Quote, Busch Beer has released dog brew, and Ben & Jerry's now sells doggy desserts. The faux beer, the dog beer, involves no alcohol, of course. Too bad. Give me a feline high on catnip in a room with a drunk Fido, and that vid'll do 2 million on TikTok. Instead, the dog beer is pork bone broth. Ben & Jerry's doggy dessert, that's a sunflower butter-based frozen treat. I'm browsing the supermarket aisle the other day in search of other examples of companies pandering to pet owner fanaticism, and I come upon a chicken recipe with antioxidant-rich cranberries and another dog food geared to sensitive stomach and skin. Folks, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but left to his own devices, your dog will lap up whatever's in front of him, including his own vomit, and be none the worse for it.
Yeah.
Do you think dogs, when they're together speaking dog, bemoan the lack of beer and frozen treats from their diet? What they're saying is, I just smelled the neighbor's dog's ass today, and it was sublime. Dogs are the last animals on earth that need pampering with high-priced foods made to make pet owners feel better about themselves. I wish the opposite marketing strategy existed. Love to see how it would go over. How about Busch Beer comes out with an Alpo-flavored brew for we humans? How about the latest Ben & Jerry's flavor is your neighbor's dog's ass? It's a matter of time before some company comes out with foie gras and caviar-flavored dog food. People, your mutt does not have a discerning palate. Fill his bowl with the usual mound of cheap, unidentifiable, brown, crunchy stuff and let the big dog eat. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Let me ask you guys a question, because this made me
That's
have.
when you should drink the coffee.
This made me have a thought. I have to do a celebrity roast with Jason Jackson, and
Oh, wow.
there have to be 2 roasters, and I have to select 2 roasters, and I couldn't figure out who to select, but Greg would be pretty good at that. Would he
he'd
not?
be great. Yes.
Would you like to do that, Greg? Put that cough on the board there, please. It was not a
Roast you
laughing
with
cough.
coughs.
It was a normal cough. Can you make it to October 9th, Greg? Can you make it?
Can't promise that. That's a long time.
50-50.
Would you like to be a roaster? Because I've thought of Stugotz too, but I don't think Stugotz will show up.
Where is it?
The Hard Rock.
Which one?
The one equidistant. Look, man, you went to the Coconut Creek Casino.
That's right by my house.
You're gonna
man.
keep calling. You're gonna keep asking questions and backing away so that you don't get roped into a Saturday night. Who should be the roasters? Is there anybody back there that wants to do it? I got a table for 10 that we've got to fill.
Wow.
I don't know how many of you even want to be at this thing.
Wait, it's you and
I'm going.
it's you and Jason
I'm
Jackson.
going.
It's not. It's a Jason Jackson celebrity roast. He does it every
Okay.
year. He's done it with a bunch of Heat players, and I've got to pick 2 roasters, and I don't know who to pick. I've been at a loss.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What about Gonzo?
Oh, he'd be terrible at it. He just wouldn't be any good. My father, public speaking, that could get us into so much
Are you trying
trouble.
to pick a
from
bad nomination?
Well, yeah, full opposite.
Oh, gosh. I don't want Stugotz to do it or Gonzo to do it. I don't have the strength to write these.
What kind of remuneration are we
I'm just
talking
trying
about?
to go to it.
You don't have the strength to be funny.
Yeah.
Don Van Natta.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to make it. That day is that's on my birthday, and I'm going to be up to some real prime fuckboy shit that day.
And you invited me,
Oh,
right?
man. Oh.
Emmanuel Acho has ended up on Oprah's talk show and in commercials wearing slick mustard-colored suits.
Driving
and-
nice cars.
And he said this on Twitter, which I legitimately thought was a great joke, but he wasn't joking. He deleted the tweet. But I thought, man, he could have worded that differently, but that's a solid joke. But he was serious when he wrote, legalizing weed in track and field competition is all good if you're running a straight line. It's terribly dangerous if you throw the javelin. Where do you draw the line? I thought it was an
Hysterical.
I thought it was an excellent joke, but he deleted the tweet and he was evidently serious. And how can you be serious with that? How can that be a
Is he wrong?
Yes, he's wrong.
I mean, you get high and handle a javelin. I mean,
You
it's
wouldn't
hard-
throw a javelin high, Dan.
Exactly. It's hard to do when you're sober. I mean, not that I've ever done it.
You don't think that that has the possibility of being sitcom material? A guy asking, where do you draw the line? Somebody smoking weed at the Olympics might throw the javelin into the crowd and impale someone, a concessionaire, in the neck.
You never know, dude.
You do know.
Yeah.
You do know that that's not what's going to happen if someone's high with a javelin and is Olympic trained at throwing the javelin.
Or he throws a shot put and goes straight up in the air and then falls around his head.
Can happen.
Yeah.
People have been killed with a javelin at track and field meets.
Mm-hmm.
You could look that up.
Yep.
He since deleted the tweets.
I could, but I don't want to.
Apologized.
True.
And said he educated himself. And then Deadspin did a very lazy takeout on him, calling him the Black Will Kane.
Whoa, that's strong.
What?
Wow.
What?
That did they go? They went from that. What? Why are they? Why?
Don't even get me started on like what Deadspin's become, because it's just embarrassing. They don't even try to write these well. I can't even see a byline half the time. I'm like, what algorithm made this garbage article and headline? It's sad to see what they become. And I didn't have the highest standards for what they were at the time, but it's just trafficking on the name and name only. But yeah, that's an attention grabber, huh? Black Will Kane.
Bill Kane.
I just would like to hear what based on this tweet or something else.
No, he's got a history of, like, that show that he does with Marcellus gets held up a lot by white people because they get their own beliefs reinforced by intelligent black men. In Marcellus's Wiley case, Ivy League educated. Emmanuel Acho, I believe, has graduate degrees, and they're wonderful speakers, but they get accused of not taking the side of the athlete or their own people often. And so that's where that comes from.
2012, Javelin accident kills German athletic official.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about, Dan.
I Googled killed by javelin.
Mhm.
The examples are all over the place.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line?
I don't.
Maybe throwing a javelin is dangerous also, though.
Right, just
It
in
is,
general.
inherently.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like there have been a lot more accidents sober than even under weed.
I feel like javelins might be problematic.
Should we cancel javelins?
We should cancel the javelin. Yes, not the Olympics, just the javelin for weed. Let's not cancel the Olympics. We need to have those because the IOC overrules Japan on that one. We're gonna have you guys die. You understand?
Right.
We gotta throw the shot put.
What's that Winter Olympic sport that they skate uphill kind of slowly? They on snow skis, and then they just get up atop a hill and they shoot something.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they put the gun
What is
down.
that called? What is
and they
that called?
Well, they just put it around their back, and then they just keep moving
it's
on
ridiculous.
to the
What
next
is that
weird
sport
task.
called? Somebody.
Curling?
I don't think it's curling.
It's not curling.
Oh.
Pentathlon has a combination of running and shooting, but I think that's different than what you're referring to.
Will there be Olympic events that we could go live on as we did on the space test?
That's dicey. I don't know. Do you have $200 billion we can pay for the Olympic?
Well, I don't
rights?
want to do play-by-play on it because I think we could probably talk around the
Well-
things that are happening. I think we're just going to watch things and be like, that's a sport. I think there will be some people who discover that, I can't name the sport, that climbing up the snowy hill with, not obviously this is a summer games, but if climbing up a snowy hill with a rifle is a sport, there people are going to discover sports or Olympic sports during these Olympics.
It's the biathlon. It's the combination of cross-country skiing and rifle shooting.
Odd combination.
Who needed those two things combined? And why did we need to find out who the best is at it?
There used to be a sport called javelin catching.
Yeah.
Thank God the IOC did away with that one.
Yeah.
Mike, I think back in the day where, there was a lot of snow, tundras, and, covered a, large surface area. I think people used to
Back in the
travel
day.
via skis, and they would hunt with their rifles. And I think that's how it came. I'm serious. I'm being serious here.
Yeah.
That's how the biathlon came to be.
Jason Bourne would be great at that. Fictional character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you seem to be doubting me, the origins of
Did
biathlon.
climate change make the biathlon extinct then? Because it melted all the ice caps?
I think biathlon is still around. I'm sorry for this tangent. You were saying about Emmanuel Acho's agent.
Think anyone ever died via shot put?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think
Yes.
so?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
really?
yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Baker's
Hammer
dozen at least.
The way Roy suggested it, though, where you just throw it up and it lands on yourself.
LA Times, June 23rd,
No.
2005. Official dies after shot put accident.
Wow. It's always the
I
officials.
don't know what the accident was, but
Rest in peace.
What a way to
Dark
go.
show today, huh?
Yeah.
Javelin death, shot put death,
Blackwell Canes.
escaped the space death.
SeaWorld vacation.
The saddest.
A Tampa crane operator named Paul Hodgkins got 8 months, Stugotz, for violently trying to overthrow the government. It is a felony offense.
Seems like a light penalty for trying to overthrow a government. I mean, 8 months.
Him particularly, he was not one of the violent ones, but people died when that was happening. And I think most of us would react to that. I think the grand majority of people listening to this, no matter how divided we are, would agree that if I put in front of you violently overthrowing the government as a felonious charge, most of us would say, yeah, that probably deserves more than 8 months. However, the prosecutors were only asking for 18 months, and he was asking for house arrest and probation. So that was right in the middle. And I don't understand how that happens, but it must be outside my legal understanding why prosecutors would only ask for 18 months there. My guess is they have more information. Am I missing? Is there a hole in my knowledge here? If
My ears hurt.
That's what's going on there.
No.
Tommy Chong retweeted that story with comments saying, I got 9 months for selling a bong.
You can find some funny things, I would imagine, that get more than an 8-month penalty than violently trying to overthrow your government.
What'd they ask for? What was the max?
18, it's not the max, but it's what
No,
prosecutors
I'm guessing that's
asked
what
for.
they thought they could get. To answer your
18,
question.
18 months,
Yes,
and
yes.
they settled it. The judgment was in the middle.
I did hear that explained, which was that the guy sentenced was not carrying a weapon, and that if somebody is prosecuted who is armed with a weapon or who has any tie to attacking a Capitol policeman, they're going to get serious time.
But there were deaths involved with an insurrection, and I just think most people hearing that would say that is not a crime that deserves a whole lot of compassion, understanding from the legal system or from anybody.
you guys seen like Arrested Development when George Sr. does some light treason? This guy just did some light insurrectioning. That's all. Just a little light insurrection. Didn't have a weapon, didn't kill anyone. Just a little light insurrection.
8 months. If I had told you back when that was happening, when you were watching it, if I had told you, I mean, we've already done the analogous stuff on if those were black bodies running up those stairs, they would have been stacked. They would have been corpses if those were black bodies running up those stairs. The violence would have been perceived differently. But if I had told you as people are hanging from the walls of a sacred symbol for government, democracy, power, what do you think the penalty for that is going to be? And people are going to die. There are going to be people who die because of this. You think a whole lot of people would have answered this about 8 months?
I would have taken the over. Yeah.
I would have set the line at that.
At 8?
Yeah, it's just, okay, this has been oddly political for me today, but I find it hugely embarrassing and insulting that a lot of the people that explain that away, rationalize it, try to just brush it under the rug, are still, they're going to be running for president in the next cycle. It's just, they led an open revolt against the democracies they try to hold dear and hold over everybody's head when they try to overthrow the government in a total totalitarian attempt to take the country back from a fair, democratically elected president.
And they're just looking at it like, oh, it's just criminal trespass. Just go on your way.
It's
Time
the,
served.
It's the epitome of white privilege in this country. Because if they were minorities protesting, the armed presence that would have already been waiting there for them, ratcheting tensions up even further, would have been mind-boggling. The fact that white people could talk about this openly for months, have a protest, have the president of the United States say we're marching over there. Conveniently, he doesn't, and he watches sort of on the television, reportedly with glee. It was just, it's so insulting to me that anybody that supported that president can have an opinion on anything right now, because they have their opinions on Cuba, on vaccines. I hear a lot of them, and I'm like, you voted for that guy? Stop talking to me. Stop. It's not okay. I go out on a boat and I still can't escape this guy. It's a Confederate flag. It's treasonous. What are we doing?
It's an excellent question on the, another cough. Put that on the board
Record
there.
day for
What
him.
is the final tally here? That was obviously not a laughing cough.
You're
from
acting
Greg
like this is
Fody.
final. I mean,
This is where we are. We're finishing up the show.
And they're still ruining things. They're still largely unvaccinated. Now on the verge of taking away liberties from people that are just trying to do the right thing and believe in science. We owe our entire livelihood right now to the existence of vaccines. But in 2021, they're a bad thing? When we were just shut into our homes for a year and a half in ways that we've never experienced, in ways that we would read about in history books saying never us? I don't get it. And there's entire channels dedicated to appeasing these people. And someone goes on like viral because they merely say, I believe in a vaccine in the middle of a 3-hour block that is still pumping doubt into those very same vaccines, and we lift up the one example of somebody being fundamentally decent. I don't get it. You shouldn't have a seat at this table. This isn't a matter of free speech. It's not that. It was you led a charge in open defiance of that very free speech and those principles that we hold dear. And you get to be more American than me? You get to wave the flag on a boat? And I can't even get an American flag tattoo anymore because of what people might think of me because you've co-opted it? How? How are they more American? Preach. Thank you. You're welcome. I've been thinking about it a little bit these
It's
last
out.
few months. Just may not be able to go to Mexico for my 10-year anniversary just because God knows what kind of variant was born in the Westchester Flanagans because you couldn't wait to get out of your homes and breathe all over me.
Those rib rolls, though.
oh,
Rockin'. Many
the
are saying.
nachos, the
good.
nachos,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
nachos.
Nachos.
God almighty.
Happy Tumbleweed Tuesday, everybody. I should just say that right now.